The Democrats keep talking about this mysterious survey.
It's in Marist. It's in the Univision poll.
Well, no one's seen anything like that.
I literally just told you where
because
it is.
if it's actually happening.
Oh, dude. No one's seen it, Jessica, as in I am refusing to read. I don't know how to read.
Honestly, it's a pretty depressing story, and you might even be wondering why I decided to cover it. Well, here's the thing. It's a presidential election year once again.
It's really hard not to sound like a conspiracy theorist when we're dealing with moves that are 40 years in the making. I mean, this isn't like a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy in the legal term. Like, they're conspiring to do this. It's not a theory. It's just a reality. These are not things that we are suspecting happen. These are things that were openly being communicated for multiple decades, and we're watching it unfold in front of our eyes. It's like, it's just the reality.
You probably wish it wasn't.
And the reason why I'm going through this process and explaining to you step by step how it has happened in the past, and trying to explain to you how worse things have gotten since then, is because I want you to understand. I want you to have the tools to analyze what happens tomorrow potentially. Okay? That's it. This is a big part of what I do, contrary to what my naysayers might claim I do. This is my job. This is what I am tasked with doing, which is to explain to you historical context as to why certain things are slated to happen. Okay? That's the goal here. Hopefully your takeaway is we must not repeat the mistakes of the past. That's the goal of giving you historical context.
And after hearing me smash through all the ways the 2000 election got absolutely borked by some little brothers and a bunch of the guys from that scene in Wolf of Wall Street, you might even find yourself thinking, what's the point in voting when these dudes can just come in and swipe an election? But here's how I see it. The biggest problem with the 2000 election was that it was too goddamn close. Sure, this kind of thing is exciting as hell.
Is this the dagger?
But this is the election for the President of the United States. And when we're trying to finally double down on the biggest pieces of climate legislation ever, we don't want a buzzer beater. We want to win by 40. We want a blowout. We want to light the scoreboard up so hot it becomes self-aware like in the movie Space.
But you guys understand, like, why. I hope this helps you kind of come to terms with why I'm so critical of the Democratic Party's messaging on this stuff whenever they say dumbass shit like, we want a strong Republican Party. Okay? There is nothing that frustrates me more than watching the party that I'm supposed to be in favor of, supposed to be in support of, the party that is supposed to closely align with my values, maybe not with the entirety of it, but like still the party that is supposed to be the counterbalance against like the endless creep towards fascism, openly priming their base to normalizing this kind of shit. Because every single time you hear Nancy Pelosi say things like, we want a strong Republican Party, we want the Republican Party of the past, this is what they're pointing to. This is what the Republican Party of the past did. And the only reason why you say stuff like that is because you either forgot what the Republican Party of the past did, or because you want to effectively prime your base into, hoping and dreaming that there is a different Republican Party out there. Project 2025 doesn't end with defeating Trump. It ends with defeating the whole Republican Party. Exactly. Thank you. That is why my analysis on Project 2025, I've been talking about that for a fucking year plus at this point, has always been Project 2025 is not new. A lot of people focused on it, and it's been an effective way to campaign against the current Republican Party. But you have to understand, Project 2024 and 2026 is the same. Donald Trump was implementing Project 2025. How much do you blame the media for this mess? 2000, I blame them a lot, but even in this year, the media always takes the right-wing framing. It kills me. Yeah, it's never stopped. Medium rare orgy, details matter. Bush v. Gore was decided 7-2, not 5-4. 5-4 was on the remedy. Another detail, the attempt was to count undervotes, but not overvotes. Medium rare OG is a Bush v. Gore truther saying that, like, no, Bush definitely won regardless.
Space Jam. But I'm not out here trying to advocate for voting for the climate on vibes alone, baby. So we teamed up with our friends over at Evergreen Action to take a look at what the actual climate stakes of this election are and why you getting yourself registered to vote and then actually going to the polls is 100% worth your time.
All right. So the rest of that is about climate change policy, which, you know, I've talked about, but like I wanted to specifically cover the aspect. I wanted to specifically cover this aspect. Okay. Due to such a lib, he is fantastic. Okay. You guys are go support our boy. He's amazing. Climate Town rules. You're so wrong for saying that. I love them. I think he's great. I will not allow any shit talking to take place. Yeah, my bad, dude. He cares about fucking he cares about hoping. He cares about trying to stop anthropogenic climate change. But I know, what a fucking lame ass, dude. Really fucked up. He does not want the next generation to just like die out the fucking womb. It's really fucking lame of him. Anyway.
To our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, in Pennsylvania with the latest on the Harris campaign. Good morning to you, Mary.
Bro, I don't know if you are Brandon Buckingham. I don't know why the fuck you keep repeating this over and over again. I know this is unrelated, but Brandon Buckingham made a great documentary about the life in southern Lebanon that's being suppressed by the algorithm. Please react to it if you haven't already. Try to bring more attention to the situation. What I don't understand about this is that, like, wasn't that guy fucking chirping about how much of a terrorist I am? Like, the election is tomorrow. I'm kind of surprised that guy literally was like crying about how he's an edgy boy who literally loves Sam Hyde, who was a fucking pedophile Nazi, but simultaneously he has been extremely critical of my coverage over Israel-Palestine, which I've always been truly shocked by. Okay. But also he is, I guess now, I don't know. Didn't he try to chirp at you in person? Yeah, he did. I'm glad that he has arrived at, I guess, a normal position that like the Lebanese population is worthy of dignity, and he recognizes their humanity. The red tomato pig with him, yeah.
Good morning, Robin. Well, Kamala Harris is finishing out this
Harris making a final pitch to Michigan voters ahead of the election. Let's take a look.
Campaign crisscrossing this all-important state. She's hoping to turn out every last voter by convincing them that she's the candidate who can turn the page. Overnight, Vice President Kamala Harris making her final pitch to voters in Michigan.
Michigan, I am here to ask for your vote. I am here to ask for your vote.
Eager to end on a positive note, Harris not mentioning her opponent by name, opting to focus less on Donald Trump and more on the kind of president she would be, drawing a sharp contrast.
I pledge to listen to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make. I pledge to listen to experts, and I pledge to listen to people who disagree with me. Because, you see, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. In fact, I'll give them a seat at the table because that's what strong leaders do.
But in a state with one of the largest Arab and Muslim populations, Harris well aware the war in the Middle East is a crucial issue. In East Lansing, opening her remarks with a pledge to end the conflict and suffering.
This year has been difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza, and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating. And as president, I will do everything in my power to end the war in Gaza, to bring home the hostages, end the suffering in Gaza, ensure.
This should have been her starting point and her first message right out the fucking gate, and she inevitably expanded upon this. I'm going to talk about this. I covered this briefly yesterday, and I actually posted about it as well, even though I got fucking context noted by the dumbest individuals of all time. I said, unbelievable. This Palestinian Lebanese victim-centered rhetoric only came after Trump courted Arab voters in Dearborn. For months, we have been screaming that a change in Israel policy/rhetoric is the morally correct and politically sound decision. Now it's likely too late. And a lot of people, I guess, chose not to understand what I was saying, especially because this is the first time that she actually talked about the humanity of Palestinians and the Lebanese from the perspective of them being victims to Israel's actions, and without framing the context around October 7, Hamas, or Israel. She still maintained the position that Israel has a right to defend itself, but that came after. Words and the emphasis that you place on words matter, okay? Especially for someone like Kamala Harris. Now, what is really frustrating about this is that not only did I mention this, but this is the message that she should have come out with already from the jump, not the shit that she did for the past couple of months. And yet, this, in spite of the reality that this was the first time that she said Lebanese and Palestinian people are people and yada, 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 like a victim-centered narrative, a lot of people were like, she's been saying this. You're so fucking dumb. She's been saying this literally the entire time. You're just really dumb. To which I responded, I hate how incredibly stupid most people have become on this website. Politicians know the weight and placement of the words they use. This is the first time she started the combo centering Palestinians and Lebanese people instead of Israel's right to defend itself, October 7, or Hamas. That was my position. And yet so many people just refuse to comprehend what I was saying in this circumstance. And it doesn't fucking matter. Now, ultimately, I mean, she said the same thing weeks ago, verbatim. Once again, people are choosing not to understand what the difference here is. Now, even the likes of Craig Harrington, who I like, who is a research director at Media Matters for America, disagreed with me and said, this is from Kamala Harris's DNC acceptance speech. I don't know why these people think that I wasn't paying close attention to the things that she was saying. Okay? Of course I know exactly what the fuck she was saying. This is from Kamala Harris's DNC acceptance speech. I said, this is one of the first times she's opened the conversation without speaking of Israel's right to defend itself, or October 7 first, centering the victims of Israeli violence in the beginning. We all understand word placement is deliberate, right? You are seeing what you want to see. Her statement was about the Arab American community in Michigan specifically. She's been saying this about the situation in Gaza for months, and people have been pretending that she's not been saying it. No, I am saying that this is still too little, but it's also too late. And not only that, but this is the first time, and this speech itself also obviously showcases the reality that she is not immediately coming out of the gate with October 7, Hamas, mass rapes, babies being lit on fire, to contextualize all of the violence that Israel committed in the aftermath of that. So obviously, the campaign itself has recognized that there is a difference in messaging. It's just that it's far too fucking late for the campaign to recognize it, and yet liberals still refuse to even point out a marked tonal shift. Okay, and it's very frustrating that even like-minded individuals, even like intelligent liberals, alongside the rest of the fucking Twitter population, have completely lost their damn minds. Okay? I don't know why people are openly being confidently wrong on this issue. This shit PMO, the community note, is so garbage. Even the motherfucker says she already said this verbatim, posted a screenshot where she's still centering Israel's right to defend itself. Exactly. Now, you might say, and I actually would agree with this, that even this in and of itself is not enough. Of course it's not enough. Okay? But this should have come first and foremost. This should have come months ago. And then she should have expanded upon that to communicate a separation from the Biden White House. And she didn't do that. But the very fact that she is choosing to do it now, the very fact that she's even marginally changing her communication strategy on this now, 2 days before the election, is shocking. Why don't you block those freaks in your replies? I mean, I would have to block virtually every single person. It's like, I don't have enough fucking time to do that. I also have done that by just simply not going on Twitter when I am not live. I'm more so talking about how frustrating it is to have this fucking conversation with people who refuse to understand the point deliberately. Like, you have to be voluntarily refusing to hear my point at this in this situation, right? You are seeing what you want to see. Her statement about the Arab American community in Michigan specifically, she has been saying this about the situation in Gaza for months. She hasn't changed her message, bro. What are you hearing? She's saying the exact same thing using different words and is lying. I know. I understand that she is still not interested in actually changing her policy. That's not the point. The point is, this is not only bare minimum, but even the marginal difference in the way that she is communicating this issue came far too late. It's too little and it's too late. Democrats, especially, unlike the Republican Party, care about this stuff. They care about the optics of this stuff. Okay. That this is the first time that she is not centering Israel around the conversation. Okay. There is a limited amount of space that I have to talk about these issues on Twitter, but it opens it up to people being voluntarily delusional. You need to make sure you're strategic with your messaging on sensitive topics such as this, like Gaza, Lebanon being genocide. That can't be said in the marketplace of ideas, but then the Dems will run up the top of the hour ad break and elect Trump themselves. Okay, we're not doing top of the hour ad break debates, at least for the duration of the election, but thank you for debating me. You can avoid the no ads by subscribing, even though I'm not running ads, for $6 or for free, and you can support the stream by subscribing. Anyway, great filter event is tomorrow. So pog. Yes, I did cover the Epstein tapes yesterday. Isn't Swam Marcus a libertarian that lived in Thailand? I don't know. I don't care. People are so fucking stupid. And I like that there's enough members in this community that are hate watching currently that this dude's response went from 5.3K likes to 6K likes instantly. Like, welcome to the broadcast, chatters who are in here watching, hoping that they can have something that they can clip out of context and keep crying because they have no interest in the election, nor what happens in Israel, nor what happens in Gaza, and are specifically just here because of their hyperfixation. Anyway, Benign Burger, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. So, if it matters, your first tweet I didn't understand it was like, she has said these things. Your replies clear it up, saying you meant things without the Israel part. Yeah. You got hate fans, Lamau. I know. They are so incredibly fucking invested. It's like kind of sad, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it is what it is. Someone said you support Grape. Okay, dude, I'm going to fucking ether you out. Like, if you're dumb enough that you're voluntarily fucking bringing like very deliberately shit that's clipped out of context, like you need to be nuked from orbit. Okay. Yes, dude. People say unhinged shit. They call me anti-Semite. They call me transphobic. Who the fuck cares? What can I do? There's nothing I can do about it. My haters are unimaginably invested. You are voluntarily doing their bidding when you fucking promote these idiotic fucking takes. Anyway, let's get back to Kamala Harris.
Israel is secure and ensure the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, security, and self-determination.
The vice president crisscrossing the key battleground state on her last weekend of campaigning, hoping to get out the vote and reach key constituencies like black voters, with stops at churches.
But joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
And black-owned businesses.
This is a fight that is not against something as much as it is for something.
Right.
In the final sprint, both campaigns trying to broaden their reach, playing ads during NFL games, speaking directly to voters.
Just remember, Kamala and her friends broke it. I'll fix it. Most important election in the history of our country.
He just looks like shit. God damn.
Go and vote.
Now, the baton is in our hands. I pledge to seek common sense solutions to make your life better. and I pledge to be a president for all Americans.
Harris taking a moment to cast her own ballot, too, by mail.
Make sure you fill out your ballot. I did mine. I'm going to put it in the mail.
And making a surprise appearance on Saturday Night Live, playing the mirror image of actress Maya Rudolph's version of her.
Because what do we always say? Keep Kamala and carry on.
Now, Kamala Harris is spending the entire last day of this campaign here in Pennsylvania, the state most likely to tip this race. And she has several events throughout the day, and then it culminates in what is expected to be a massive rally here. And guys, she is leaning on some big names like Katy Perry, Oprah, Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, The Roots, and others to help get her across the finish line.
Okay, Mary, thanks.
Vice President Kamala Harris will be.
I think that one of the things that Kamala Harris should have done, like an easy gimme, was to send Bernie Sanders and Tim Walz to Joe Rogan. Instead, they sent fucking John Fetterman, which is, you know, the absolute worst person I can think of to go on a 3-hour broadcast where you have to speak for 3 hours straight. But, you know, what the fuck do I know? Every single thing that I have said since the DNC in terms of like what kind of messaging she should lean in and what kind of messaging looks bad, Blueprint, which is a Democratic Party pollster that looks at messaging resilience, okay, has confirmed over and over again. I said from the jump, expanding Medicare, good. Top marks on Blueprint. Expanding price gouging, good. Top marks on Blueprint. I love small businesses. I'm going to do tax cuts for small businesses. Bad. Lowest marks you can possibly get on Blueprint. Okay? A Democratic Party pollster that analyzes the strategies, the communication strategies of certain statements. Okay? Horrible mistakes in terms of like rushing towards Brandon and saying that you are just like Brandon, that you are not going to be different than Joseph Robinette Brandon at all. Horrible fucking message. Really, really bad marks on Blueprint. As the chair of the BOCC, I was invited again to meet with Kamala Harris as she arrived in North Carolina last week. Every opportunity with her, I've used my time to advocate for Gaza and the West Bank. This time I was surprised, the rambling thread of my thoughts processing. I've been asked why I continue to meet with Kamala Harris, and honestly, it's difficult deciding. I go back and forth every time I'm invited to meet her. Sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. This first time this year, back in February, I was chastised by other political leaders in Durham for wearing a keffiyeh when meeting her. I was told I was causing trouble. That experience, though uncomfortable and stressful, showed me that my presence in these spaces isn't just to have a conversation with the VP. It is also to educate and inform other leaders around me that Gaza is an issue that matters. I do, in certain instances, whenever I talk to like actual DC people, like people that work either directly when I talk to politicians themselves or people that work in their immediate orbit, I'm genuinely shocked at how much of the overarching attitude within DC comes from them being kind of out of touch with different narratives, different realities, and different messages that are resilient. Their only access to this sort of stuff comes from polls, okay? They are only informed after the fact. And even then, they just still, I think, have a lot of older people that are ideologically committed to a certain kind of framework. They're ideologically committed to third way neoliberalism. They're ideologically committed to tacking right. And so they refuse, like the older analysts, the older staffers, and the people who make these communication decisions, I think, refuse to reckon with even the focus tested messages. And obviously the focus groups and the focus tested messages can almost always fucking refuse to look at certain realities. Like that's the reason why you don't hear a lot of You don't hear a lot of like messaging on Gaza, for example, with the exception of like other outside polling, like CARE doing a poll on Muslim voters in America, or things of that nature, right? Polls don't make you send the cops on students. Ideology does. I mean, I think so, but I am shocked at how much of this is not like nefarious and cynical, even though there is a good bit of that nefarious and cynical hard-headedness. So much of that is just specifically because they just don't talk to a person that has a different perspective, and their opinions calcify within the bubble that they're in. I think that's what it is. Oh my God, everyone is saying talk to it. What the fuck is happening? Holy shit, this chat is so brain rotted. There are more Jews than Muslims, and Dems think all of us are concerned more about Israel. I know, it's wrong. There's also no evidence to show that. There's only evidence to show the exact opposite. Like, it's not like there aren't polls on the matter. American Jews have said Israel is their 9th priority out of the top 10 priorities. They are American. They vote as Americans. They are not Israeli, and they are not voting on behalf of Israel. That is the weird reality that a lot of people don't recognize. Okay? It's almost funny when you think about it, when it's like they're doing woke dual loyalty narratives, you know? They're doing dual loyalty narratives, but woke. It's fucking so frustrating. Working with a former congressperson has always shocked me how much they just blindly believe what lobbyists tell them with little skepticism. Yeah. Anyway, a brief summary of how the interactions have gone when I bring up Palestine. To her, February, boiler response that she heard me and appreciated my voice. August, thanked me for my leadership, said we have more work to do. But like I started, this time I was surprised. She immediately remembered me and baby Abdul and took him in her arms. When I started to speak with her, she really zoned in, more than she has in the past. I told her Gaza must be saved. I also shared with her that Aisha and was Tawkir's close friend and wife. She and her family deserve justice and haven't received that. She held my hand and looked me in the eyes. I promise you this will be my top priority. I promise you. I know words can be empty. I know she's VP right now. So why did I still vote for her? Because whether you agree with me, she's the only one who can bring an end to the war as president. Okay. How to tell a friend to vote for Jill Stein is not the biggest brain idea. I don't know where to even start this subject. Okay. I have never been a pro Jill Steiner. I do not like Jill Stein. I do not like the Green Party. Many people know this already. I've talked about it quite extensively. I understand why people do protest votes, but if you think that you're going to teach the Democratic Party a lesson, let me tell you, you're not. Do whatever you want to do. Could start by saying her VP is transphobic and pro-abortion limits. Yeah, I don't even know enough about like butch wear, but I just don't. I am sorry. I cannot trust a party that only remembers that they exist every fucking 4 years. Okay? Like, you can complain and say I'm in the pocket of the Democrats all day, every day. I think it's fucking ridiculous. Okay? Adam Conover made a video about it and made everybody mad, lol.
The problem with third parties. We all want more choices in our political system. I do too. But unfortunately, in the US, we have a winner-take-all political system. In other countries where they have proportional representation, if a third or minor party gets just 5% of the vote, then they get 5% of the seats in the legislature, so they get real power. But in a winner-take-all system, they don't get power. Instead, they just take votes away from the party that they're more closely aligned with and often throw the election to the party they're most opposed to.
The only aspect of this that I don't agree with is that it is up to the Democratic Party to win those votes. Okay? I'm not someone who's going to be like, unless you're voting directly for Trump, unless you're voting directly for the Republican Party in any capacity, I am of the mindset that, and even then, like, it's up to the Democratic Party to win those votes back. Okay? But I will stop you and tell you not to do that. I will urge you not to do that if you're like, oh, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Having said that, however, my mindset on this, I think, is, I guess, quite controversial in American politics for some weird reason. But I believe that the entire purpose of voting is so that you can extract concessions from the party that you are voting for. That is the underlying basis of democracy. The notion that like these votes are being taken for granted is a silly one. I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's a successful method anyway. Why would you urge me not to vote for Trump? I'm curious, and I have always an open mind. Where do I begin? Donald Trump has greatly accelerated the income and wealth disparity in this country. It's something that I actually think is unconscionable and is one of the major problems that Americans are facing. He did this by offering permanent tax cuts to the top tax bracket, myself included, and also corporations. He also offered minor tax cuts to the working class Americans in an effort to justify the major tax cuts that the corporations of the wealthy were getting at a time when record high profits were happening for them regardless. He did not have to do that, but he did it regardless, and that was his signature legislative accomplishment. Donald Trump also undermined every single federal regulatory agency by directly appointing people who were tasked with destroying said agencies their entire fucking lives. Donald Trump is also unimaginably white nativist in his immigrant agenda, in his rhetoric towards migrants. He's dehumanized migrants actively and deliberately. I find that to be completely unconscionable. He is Hitlerian in his policies, in his advocacy, and also sometimes directly paraphrases Adolf Hitler, like when he said immigrants are poisoning the blood of this nation, or when he said or I guess people in his campaign had said that America should be for Americans at the Madison Square Garden rally, only less than 100 years after the Nazi rally that had taken place in Madison Square Garden, where they channeled similar sentiment. Donald Trump has also, promoted Hitlerian generals, said that he wanted Adolf Hitler's generals, or because he doesn't really understand the history itself, doesn't realize that Hitler's own generals tried to have him assassinated numerous times, but that's besides the point. The fact that he still wants that is fucking ridiculous. Donald Trump does not give a single shit about anyone. He only cares about himself, and he only cares about people who are exactly like him, extremely wealthy. His mass deportation policy will be devastating, is akin to Nazi Germany. Hitler also originally wanted to deport everyone and not, he didn't arrive at the final solution immediately. He originally wanted to do the Madagascar plan for the Jews, which he wanted to just deport them, right? But after years and years of dehumanizing rhetoric and recognizing that the financial calculation benefited just simply killing everyone rather than deporting them, that's how the Holocaust happened. Donald Trump's foreign policy track record is also devastating, with some exceptions. I would say that on North Korea, he was better than the Democratic Party. He was less militant and wanted North Korea and South Korea to come to terms on their own, which I thought was decent. But beyond that, it was, horrifying. Donald Trump threw aside Barack Obama's signature foreign policy accomplishment, the Iran denuclearization agreement. Iran said that they would still follow the Iran denuclearization agreement, which wasn't just simply kept up by the United States of America, but also numerous European partners. Our European partners were still going to the nuclear facilities even after Donald Trump said he was casting aside the Iran denuclearization agreement, and said that Iran was still following the process, because they thought America was not insane enough to do such a thing. Donald Trump responded to that by adding additional sanctions on Iran. Donald Trump also set the stage for October 7 by moving the American embassy to Jerusalem and solidifying Israel's occupation of East Jerusalem. Donald Trump also gave Golan Heights, which is annexed and occupied Syrian territory, to Israel. Donald Trump also did the Abraham Accords, which completely sidestepped Palestinians and wrote out Palestinian emancipation from the equation by simply putting forward on paper the already normalized relations between these Gulf states and men of states that are American client states for the most part with Israel. And that was obviously endlessly frustrating. Donald Trump's Supreme Court appointments obviously did Roe v. Wade after lying to the American public, saying that they were not going to ever overturn Roe v. Wade because it was a super precedent. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot. Donald Trump's climate change policies were so unimaginably bad that even American industry leaders had to say, we can't have this level of carbon emissions. It's actually going to destabilize the planet. Thanks for some insights and actually explaining some things. I figured I'd get dehumanized for asking this question. Wait, what? Why? You said you have an open mind. Why would I dehumanize you? What the fuck? Donald Trump's far-right Supreme Court has overturned the Chevron deference, greatly reducing the power of the federal regulatory agencies. There are a million different things that the Trump administration did. Donald Trump's overall attitudes about, I think, dangerous misinformation spreading is genuinely terrifying for the future of this country. He has greatly destabilized this nation. Even on the rhetorical front, Donald Trump has also defended Nazis marching through the streets, where he very famously once said after the Charlottesville Nazi rally that there were very fine people on both sides. There were no fine people on one side of the equation. The Nazis did not have very fine people on their ranks. That was ridiculous. Donald Trump has wined and dined direct neo-Nazis like Nicholas Fuentes, just like everyone's favorite debate lord, Destiny himself. Donald Trump has openly kept neo-Nazis with direct ties to former Nazi groups like Sebastian Gorka in his cabinet, in his administration. Yeah, just a bad guy overall. Donald Trump utilized the marshals to assassinate someone who had killed a neo-Nazi in Portland, and then openly fantasized and openly took credit for the assassination. Why is this race so close, given what you just said about Trump's failings? I mean, so much. Yeah, that's another one. That's a really good one, actually, that I keep forgetting to mention. There were a shit ton of domestic white supremacist, white nationalist acts of terror under the Trump administration due to the fact that Donald Trump was utilizing the bully pulpit to justify and sometimes beef up and give confidence to these neo-Nazis, so much so that they demonstrated openly in Charlottesville in the Unite the Right rally, where they didn't even fear political repercussions. So much so that they fucking unmasked themselves deliberately. Donald Trump greatly accelerated drone strikes, even though he claimed to be a peaceful dove. On the domestic agenda, Donald Trump really revitalized the American Nazi movement that had remained nascent for quite some time. Gave them the confidence to basically operate in broad daylight, especially because Donald Trump's policies were so closely aligned with the neo-Nazi movement in the United States of America. There's a lot of stuff that he did. I mean, his misinformation during COVID was pretty damaging, probably killed a shit ton of his own supporters, honestly. And this is before we even get to January 6th. I mean, I do consider January 6th to be a very funny moment in American history, but like, if they were better organized, for example, that would not have been so funny. Luckily, it was all, diabetic HVAC business owners that were trying to climb over the fucking wall of the Capitol, and it didn't really go anywhere, but that doesn't change the reality that he still attempted to overturn the democratic results of an election that he lost. That was fucking insane. He also had a false elector ballot swap initiative that he was also working on the side. Things that he is supposed to be, in court over, in federal court over, which of course, they pushed that back. Part of the reason why they were able to push that back is because Donald Trump's own Supreme Court, with its 6-3 right-wing majority, decided that the president actually has presidential immunity over presidential acts, which created an unnecessary additional hurdle, an unnecessary legal hurdle that must be cleared if you are going to prosecute a fucking former president. This in and of itself is really fucking silly, because the determination of whether something constitutes a presidential act or one that was conducted as a civilian with the interest as like a private American citizen is also left up to the Supreme Court. They did that specifically so they could push back the federal prosecution beyond the election. Anyway, I already mentioned the Abraham Accords. He also flirted with Putin. Yeah, that stuff is neither here nor there. That's like he's done so much awful shit. Like, I don't think personally Donald Trump is anti-NATO in the way that he presented himself. I think that stuff is like, that stuff is silly. If he was so incredibly anti-NATO, then I don't think that the Biden administration would have continued some of the demands that he implemented, as far as like demanding that our NATO partners put more in to their own defenses, for example. Yeah, Donald Trump never actually pulled out of Afghanistan despite claiming to be a peaceful dove. He actually secured an Afghan withdrawal agreement, sidestepping the puppet administration of the Afghan government and directly speaking to the Taliban leadership, which he released out of prison, by the way, which wouldn't necessarily be a problem if he had continued along the Afghan withdrawal, which he never actually demonstrated political courage to do. Joe Biden actually did demonstrate political courage and withdrew out of Afghanistan. And then Donald Trump used that withdrawal to fucking attack him over and over again. Yeah. Assassinating a foreign general, Qasem Soleimani, on foreign soil in Iraq was also obviously a major escalation against Iran. Very dangerous escalation, if I might add. But that's neither here nor there. I feel like the Biden administration letting Israel loose upon the entire region has been an even more dangerous escalation. What policies would you say Donald Trump has done that hurt largely the economy enough for someone who's in your tax bracket would make them second guess Trump's ability to make the economy more prosperous? I don't think I'm in agreement with other people in my tax bracket, first and foremost. Let me just say. Secondly, there is a reason why there are a lot of very wealthy Americans who are terrified of a Trump administration, and that is volatility. Okay? Donald Trump is an uncontrollable demon. Okay? He is so self-interested and he's so malleable in many respects that he can do anything and everything at any moment. This creates volatility. Volatility, to a certain degree, can be beneficial for wealthy people, but volatility beyond a certain level creates instability, which is not good for profits overall. Okay? Oh my God, he was already president? Yes, he was. And shit was not good. What do you mean? I think the only reason why people say, oh my God, he was already president, shut the fuck up, is because you just forgot what it was like when he was president, which is part of the reason why I say the Kamala Harris campaign actually fucked up on the communication front, on that front as well. Kamala Harris could have reminded people how shitty it was, what it was like when Trump was president, what it was like when so many of your immediate family members just had their fucking brains broken, lost, basically dead at this point. Some of them literally did die due to COVID. Anyway, people have a lot of short memories, but how can you blame Trump for COVID? I'm not blaming Trump for COVID existing. I'm blaming Trump for not taking adequate countermeasures and routinely spreading misinformation about how to deal with COVID, directly at odds with the professionals that he had hired in his administration to deal with it. I've noticed there's a pretty distinct difference between people who remember vividly the feeling of election night 2016 and the following 4 years and those who don't remember that at all. It's understandable. I think we have short-term memory. It's made especially worse by the social media cycle that just like hypes things up for 24-hour time frames, and then you forget about it immediately.
Even if they don't intend to, they functionally act as a spoiler. And you can see that in our political system because the GOP has literally tried to help Jill Stein and the Green Party get on the ballot and get them more votes. Now, there are third parties that escape this trap. The Working Families Party is incredibly effective because they run fusion candidates with Democrats they support to pull them to the left, and they organize year-round to build power for working people. But unfortunately, most third parties in America don't do that. Instead, they just run one candidate every 4 years, bank a lot of donations, get a lot of votes, get a lot of press, but the functional effect of doing so is to give power to the party and policies they oppose the most. And as much as we wish it to be otherwise, that is simply not an effective political strategy until we get ranked choice voting and
an interesting bit. I don't think they're trying to remind people how bad Trump's term would win, There have been psych studies that we are in a mass event where the wide population basically memory hold late 2020 through 2021. It's a really cool study at the moment, but people legit do not remember it en masse. So trying to remind them could just fail. No, I'm not talking about 2020 till 2021. I'm not talking about COVID. I do understand why people memory hold COVID. COVID was a traumatic global event that a lot of people do not remember or want to remember fondly. That part I understand. Okay. It's psychological trauma. No one wants to fucking remember it because it sucked. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everything leading up to COVID. I'm talking about virtually everything leading up to COVID. That's why like Charlottesville and like the misinformation, like the utilization of the bully pulpit. These are significant things. These are very significant things. Like, I think one reason why Joe Biden won over Donald Trump beyond COVID was also the fact that Americans were slammed to the television every single fucking day because Trump would do something insane every single fucking day. Okay? It's impossible to remember every single thing that he's done. Here, I'll give you an example. Many people in here are probably going to be shocked when they find out that Donald Trump early on in 2016 claimed that a Mexican-American judge could not preside over his case because he was of Mexican background. That is just pure racism. Okay? Pure fucking racism. That is not even a thing that people probably remember because there was a million other things that he has said. It like doesn't even fucking track with a gorillion different things that Donald Trump has said. That's what I'm talking about in terms of like what people should be reminded of. They should be reminded of how fucking shitty it was to like constantly have to, pay attention to what the fuck the president was saying. Anyway.
Proportional representation in America, which God willing, we will have one day.
All right, let's continue. It's sort of low-key the third most important data point this week after Seltzer and New York Times Siena. Univision poll, Latino voters, Harris 64%, Trump 30%. 69% said the Puerto Rico garbage remark was more racist than humorous. Yeah. Remember, permissible racism, you go above that and people go, no, that's unacceptable. That's seemingly what was the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay. Donald Trump was doing fantastic outreach to Latino voters across the board. Okay. All around the country. Texas GOP Latino outreach is like basically a national thing now. It's the national outreach strategy of the Republican Party. And it seemed like a lot of Latinos did not care about Donald Trump saying, like, we're going to fucking kill every undocumented migrant. We're going to deport them. We're going to deport tens of millions of them, and it's going to be awesome. They didn't care about it because no one understands one, how this policy would be implemented and how violent that policy would be. And no one understands what the underlying sentiment is for why we must have that policy to begin with. It's white supremacy through and through. Latinos did not care about it across the board, at least in the way that they were being polled up until the fucking Tony Hinchcliffe pivotal moment. It is pretty funny that is like something that shook a lot of people into going, oh my God, wait a minute, these guys are actually racist. Because for many Americans across the board, regardless of their fucking background, they don't understand the violence that the policy that they're advocating for will cause. They don't understand how that will actually impact them personally. And the greatest example of this is abortion. The greatest example of this is fucking abortion. So many goddamn dumbass Republicans were like, yeah, no, it's actually, it's fantastic. Yeah, I don't care. I'm pro-life. It's probably fine that, Trump is pro-life. I like that, actually. And then Roe v. Wade was overturned, and they're like, oh my God, I never really thought that my daughter would need a fucking abortion due to a medical emergency. And now she might fucking die because people do not have the capacity to understand what the policies they're fucking voting for look like when it is in practice. A lot of Republican policy revolves around pure selfishness. And not only that, but it also revolves around like punishing perceived enemies, okay? They don't realize that they might themselves be in the fucking crosshairs, like white women not recognizing that like Roe v. Wade actually harms them and other people like them. Or, you know, Hispanic voters that are like, yeah, no, I'm actually super fucking pro security at the border. Not realizing that undocumented migrants do not constitute a national security threat whatsoever. There is no evidence for this, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, but every state where abortion is illegal, there's a life exception for abortion. Brother, there is no reason for abortion to be illegal. Every single state has now voted when given the opportunity to legalize abortion again. The fuck are you talking about? And women are still dying regardless of the life exception. Because when you add an unnecessary medical hurdle, an unnecessary legal hurdle to a routine medical process, doctors are understandably not going to follow through on this procedure because they're fucking worried about repercussions. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, a teenager just died last week in Texas. Like, what are we doing? So stupid. Yeah, I'm about to fucking die on my way to the emergency room. But hold up, let me get a fucking approval from a Republican judge before that's allowed. A pregnant teenager died after visits, after trying to get care in 3 visits to Texas emergency rooms. It took 3 ER visits in 20 hours before a hospital admitted Nevaeh Crane, 18, as her condition worsened. Doctors insisted on 2 ultrasounds to confirm fetal demise. She's one of at least 2 Texan women who died under the state's abortion ban. That's how it works. How the fuck is this still a question? Like, I don't understand. That's why any kind of legal limitation to abortion, because you've imagined that like women are carrying pregnancies the fucking 9 months, almost to term, specifically to get a fun abortion that is born out of the hallucinations of like the most psychotic individuals out there, legislating at the behest of like actual fascist hallucinations is insane. You are creating unnecessary hurdles. You're creating unnecessary legal hurdles in an instance that does not require any hurdles whatsoever. Anyway. Even just based on the way that this chat discussed Tim Pool's opinions on dilution and extraction, dilution and curettage, 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 it is so clear the lack of education is why we live with these outcomes. This community is at least supportive, even when ignorant. Now think about the fucking idiot hogs, and everyone makes fun of The Handmaid's Tale, but to be honest, that shit is bad. Bar for bar, the current plot and reality. Yes. Curettage. This is not unwanted byproduct. This is the anticipated result. They want women who have sex outside of marriage to suffer. Yes, for some of the Christian nationalist legislators, that is precisely the point. But for many people who think that they're pro-life, or many people who are voting for pro-life candidates, they don't think about it like that. Do you understand? People are voting. By the way, this is also stupid because like a shit ton, I forget what percentage, but I think it's like the majority of women who get abortions are already mothers. Okay. The fuck? So that also doesn't make any sense. It's not like they're doing it out of wedlock. They're doing it out of necessity. Anyway, let's move back. Harris, Walz, and campaign surrogates hit battleground states with a unity message for woke
in Pennsylvania
voters.
Today after a Sunday spent in Michigan visiting a church and a barbershop and urging young people to vote at Michigan State University. Nancy Cordes is in Detroit. Nancy, good morning.
Implying mothers are married. Their marital status doesn't matter, dumbass. The fuck are you talking about? Like, oh my God. Not all mothers who are getting an abortion are married. What the fuck point does that make? What difference does that make, dude? Married or not married, it doesn't matter. The conversation is about women's bodily autonomy, a medical procedure that should be readily fucking available for all people unconditionally. The abortion restrictions are just as stupid as someone deciding that they don't like insulin, that diabetics should fucking die and that they shouldn't be able to get insulin because of decisions they made in their personal lives because they fucking, ate too many chocolates or whatever. That would be insane. Except it's perfectly permissible and valid when Republicans make that exact same argument for abortion. You said wedlock. Okay, it doesn't matter. Married or not.
Good morning, Nate. Vice President Harris has been calling former President Trump out about his unfounded claims of voter fraud. She says he's signaling to voters that their votes won't count and urging her supporters not to fall for it. Her campaign is trying to strike a delicate balance right now, signaling optimism because that's contagious, but not so much that any of their voters.
Oh my God, come on. Type 1 diabetics need insulin. It's genetic. Type 2 is the one that's usually caused by being overweight. Okay. So what? Exactly. Just like almost all of the fucking abortions that are conducted are still happening in the first trimester, 80% plus, but it doesn't stop people from literally trying to shut that medical procedure off as well. Plenty of abortions are being done because of the direct, not just the viability of the fetus, but directly, like virtually almost every single, I think literally every single abortion that happens in the third trimester is done because of either the viability of the fetus or the life of the carrier. There is some kind of impact that is occurring to the carrier. That's why this process that is incredibly invasive is allowed, okay? Putting any sort of restrictions on third trimester abortions ultimately is just as stupid as saying, nah, I'm not going to do insulin. And then you trying to say, well, I don't get it. Type 1 diabetics do need insulin, though, to survive. Also, type 2 diabetics need insulin to survive as well. It doesn't matter if it's being caused by being overweight. What kind of fucking stupid argument is this? You can't just be like, oh, I'm sorry, fat people deserve to die. That's not a position that you can say, especially in a country where 60% of the population is obese. Holy shit. The reason why I use diabetes is for that purpose. There's a lot of people who love fat shaming people and a lot of people who think that fat people deserve to fucking die. So that's why I use diabetics as a reason. Because dumbasses like you will eat the bait and immediately be like, well, type 2 diabetes is because people are fat. Okay, so should they die? What kind of fucking argument is this?
Yet complacent a day before Election Day.
We have momentum. It is on our side. Can you feel it?
A confident-sounding Harris on the campaign trail Sunday.
How are you guys doing? How's your family?
Crisscrossing Michigan as her running mate hit North Carolina and Georgia.
If you want to get rid of the anxiety, go vote. Go vote.
High-profile surrogates picked up the slack everywhere else.
Hello, Milwaukee.
Harris's closing message is about unity, collaboration, and freedom.
Including the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
In these final hours, her campaign is counting on a ground game advantage.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
They say their teams knocked on 3 million doors across the battleground states this weekend.
Hi there. My name is Kevin.
Kevin Young is a bus driver from Oregon, volunteering in Georgia.
If I had to guess, probably between 750 and 1,000 doors that I've knocked, and that doesn't count the ones, where people aren't home.
The race was rocked this weekend by a new Des Moines Register poll that has Harris leading in red state Iowa, thanks in part to a 35-point advantage among women over 65.
Insane.
The seniors at her rally in East Lansing, Michigan, were not surprised.
I think it's probably because they remember before Roe.
We grew up in a time when we had a right to choose, and now they just took it away from us. What next right will they take?
Mr. Trump wants to go back. We don't need protection from him. We're perfectly capable human beings.
Some of those supporters you saw in line got there 12 hours before the Harris rally, a packed event inside the MSU Fieldhouse. In fact, all the rallies we've been to in these closing days have been filled to the rafters with supporters cheering for every line, especially anything she has to say about young voters, about health care, and, of course, about reproductive rights. Tony.
Nancy, thank you very much.
One day, as you know, to go until the final votes, the candidates making their final pitch to the nation.
Robin, barnstorming through the battleground states over the weekend. Early voting across the country is coming to an end. Over 78 million Americans have already cast their ballots.
Final push for both candidates right now. Vice President Harris focusing on the must-win state of Pennsylvania. Former President Trump hitting 3 states in the final hours: North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Our team is in place across the battlegrounds with the campaigns. Rachel Scott starts us off with the latest on Donald Trump. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning. We are finally here. Just one more day to go. Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris delivering 2 vastly different closing arguments. Trump's advisors have spent months trying to get him to focus on the message, immigration, and the economy. But in the final days, the former president only leaning more into violent and dark rhetoric. Overnight, Donald Trump using the final moments of his 2024 campaign to air grievances and push false claims about the 2020 election, insisting he should have never left the White House after he lost.
I shouldn't have left. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, good luck. That would have been kind of sick, because I think that that they would have had to forcibly extract him out of the White House. That would have been sick.
Because we did so well.
At that rally in all-important Pennsylvania, Trump suggesting he wouldn't mind if journalists covering his campaign were shot.
And I have this piece of glass here, but all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much, because I don't mind.
His campaign telling us Trump was joking, but it's the second time just days ago saying this about Republican Liz Cheney, who has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9.
It's just a joking defense. Yeah, he was just joking,
barrel shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington.
Trump. I don't know if you answered this already. How do we hold the Democrats accountable if we have to give them our vote? I have mentioned this time and time again. There is no way that you can punish the Democratic Party. They will not learn lessons. The only way that you can technically do this is by continuing to create outside pressure platforms, groups that actually hold material power, including but not limited to labor unions, for example. Okay, that is the only way that you can. That is the only way that you can build up enough political capital that you can genuinely change the Democratic Party's attitude on a lot of these issues. That's it.
Trump's campaign downplayed those comments. The former president.
Yeah, also Democratic primaries for sure. For sure.
President hitting 3 swing states in one day, going from complaining that President Biden is no longer in the race to calling Democrats demonic.
But yeah, it's called organizing, or actually care about politics outside the presidential cycle. Exactly.
This is a group of people, large group of people, larger than people think, but it's a very demonic party. It's become that way. The people aren't. The people, Democrats, regular Democrats aren't. Most of them agree with what I'm saying.
And as he tries to win back Georgia, the former president campaigning with Herschel Walker, the Senate candidate who lost after it was revealed he allegedly paid a woman he had an affair with to have an abortion, something Walker has denied.
We will build a missile defense shield, all made in the USA, wrapped around our country to defend ourselves and our country. It's all going to be made in the United States, and a lot of it in your great state. We'll put Herschel Walker in charge of that little sucker, okay?
In the final stretch, Trump also campaigning alongside Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Kennedy, who has pushed a range of conspiracy theories about vaccines, says Trump promised him he would be in charge of the public health agencies.
Just every aspect of this is so fucked. He's like, I'm going to do all of the bad things. Okay? I'm going to put the anti-medicine guy in charge of medicine. I'm going to put the guy who doesn't know where the fuck he is, who literally lost an election because he kept saying he was a cop when he wasn't a cop, with incredible CTE damage from a time when they used to have the pillowy fucking football helmets, in charge of missiles. I don't even know what he means by that. It's just like, I don't even know who the fuck this is for, really. Good luck.
I want to be in the White House, and he's assured me that I'm going to have that.
Over the weekend, Kennedy saying that on day one, a Trump White House would advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water.
So the Trump campaign putting out another statement later saying that the former president received a range of policy ideas but remains focused on tomorrow's election. Today, Donald Trump heads to North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, guys.
Okay, Rachel, thanks very much.
Actually be dangerous just to bring them back to their countries. Their countries weren't accepting them back until I came. You know, with Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the great divider. He's the great
Barack Hussein Obama. Remember, his middle name is Hussein. His middle name was Hussein, folks. How do we let that happen? How do we let a Muslim man become the president? How dare they? How dare they? They did it.
And he hit, and Michelle hit me. I was so nice to her. Out of respect, I was so nice. She hit me the other day. I was going to say to my people, am I allowed to hit her now? They said, take it easy, sir. Sir, take it. My geniuses, I'm telling you, they said, just take it easy. Oh, what do you mean? She said bad about me. I can't hit back. Sir, you're winning. Just relax. Is that good advice? Is that good or bad advice? I think it's neutral. You know what the response is there? It's like, nah. What do the ladies from North Carolina think about hit back or just relax? Huh? Oh, they say hit back. You say hit back. I'd actually love to hit back, but we'll hold it a little while. We'll hold it. I'd love to hit back, but oh, no, she took some shots at me the other day. I said, whoa, what have we here? I'd never heard that before. I've always treated her very nicely. But he's the great divider. Barack Hussein Obama, he's a great divider. But he never did, he came out same way for Hillary. How did that work out? Oh.
For more, let's bring in our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl. And you spoke with the former president yesterday, Donald Trump.
I spoke to him early. Voice sounded weary, a little scratchy. He's got this unbelievably packed campaign schedule. But I have to say, although he told me that he thinks he's leading everywhere, by the way, he said he hadn't seen that New York Times Siena polls that shows him trailing within the margin of error in 4 states. But he did acknowledge to me something I never heard him acknowledge before, which is that I asked him, is there any way you could lose? And he said, yeah, I guess you could lose. Bad things could happen. The other thing is he took issue with the notion that he's been off message, which some of his top advisors are where he's been all over the map in his speeches, all the negativity, not focusing on the core economic issues that they say he should be focused on. He calls it the weave, and he told me the weave got me elected president, and we saw it continue yesterday.
One thing that's pretty consistent over the last week, John, is we saw Donald Trump's message pretty dark, pretty pessimistic. At least in the last day, Kamala Harris coming out much more hopeful and optimistic. Fundamental tenet of modern American politics, the more hopeful, optimistic candidate wins. If it turns out that Trump pulls this out, it's really testing that.
Yeah, I mean, it tests so much of what we think we know about politics if Trump wins, both that in terms of the ground game. Look, this has been an intensely negative campaign all around. It's the end of democracy versus the end of our country as we know it. But Donald Trump has gone incredibly dark. I mean, even in ways that have frankly shocked me. I mean, when he said yesterday, invoked the idea of shooting through reporters, and he wouldn't mind that. I mean, we've reached a new level.
It really is something. We just heard John say it's not exactly what the campaign wants Donald Trump to be doing, but there is some strategy behind it, trying to drive out angry young men.
Absolutely, and this is where the former president actually has been really focused in the final days with his messaging. He's been appearing on a lot of these podcasts, really trying to energize infrequent voters, young males, to turn out.
Okay. This aspect of the campaign is I mean, this is definitely something that the Trump administration's or the Trump campaign has been doing. One thing that they failed to do so, in my opinion, and we'll see if I was right on this or not, is that the only message that he has presented to these young men is harm reduction. And harm reduction, especially for low propensity voters, is really fucking stupid. It might be enough to secure their loyalty, but it's not enough to secure their vote. You have to give them something. And I don't think he did that. That's why I think a lot of like the Charlie Kirk messaging on the matter has been really fucking stupid. Like, he's like, come on, fellas. We don't want a dumb broad to be the fucking winner of this election, right? Like, I don't think that's enough. I don't think it's enough to drive turnout. How can you be loyal but not vote for him? What do you mean? How can you be loyal but not vote for him? There are a shit ton of Trump supporters in your immediate vicinity. Many of them are probably not going to vote. There are a shit ton of people who say that they're Democrats. They say that they're pro Kamala Harris, and a shit ton of them don't go out and vote. Most people are very apathetic. Just got done voting after sitting in pouring rain, thunderstorm for 6 hours, 47 Fahrenheit weather in the middle of a forest here in the Midwest. For young women, at least harm reduction on a directly consequential piece of Trump's legislative agenda is enough to draw out significant numbers. For young men, on the other hand, simply saying like, young women are dominating, or Kamala Harris is going to be a dumb broad, and she's going to push for the dumb broad vote, or whatever the fuck he says, is not going to be enough. You need to give them something. You need to offer them something. Like, even saying you were going to lock Hillary Clinton up was a more, like, it was something that you were offering to people who at least hate Hillary Clinton enough. You know what I mean? My dad is a Trump supporter registered in PA. I can guarantee he will not be bothered to vote. I think that loyalty comes through actions, not words. Okay, let me say not loyal to Trump. How about I say they're supporters of Trump? Okay? They like that he fucks up the left, or they like that he fucks up the liberals. He triggers the libs. He owns them. The question is that enough for them to get off their asses tomorrow and go out and vote for Donald Trump? I predict probably not. Part of the reason why I say that is because voting still has a shit ton of unnecessary hurdles, especially for young people. You know, if you're on college campus, you might not be able to vote. You might not be able to cast your ballot for back home. You didn't get your shit mailed off. You didn't get your ballot mailed to you. Okay? And this is why I always say harm reduction strategies are not adequate, are outright ineffective in getting people off the seat, off the couch to go out and fucking vote. Okay? You want to know why? Especially for young people? It's because minor inconveniences are enough for someone to say, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not going to vote. You have to be really passionate and a firmly committed believer that is going to register on time and go out and vote, depending on which state we're talking about. Okay? How does it feel knowing there's at least one Zoomer Groyper voting specifically because Hasan thinks he won't? I mean, sure. Who cares? That's not enough, though. Do you see what I'm saying? Why do you think there historically has been a plurality of people who simply do not vote for either party? One is because of the Electoral College. It makes it so that if you're a Republican in a deep blue state, you're like, why the fuck would I go out and vote? It doesn't matter anyway. It's going to go Democratic regardless. It also causes people who are Democrats in a deep blue state to go, they can win this without me. Okay? So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that there isn't enough interest for a lot of people to go out and vote because they feel like neither party represents their values or neither party is actually going to do anything for them. That's how it works. There are still plenty of hurdles in front of people that want to go out and vote. It's not as simple as a process as you'd think. And this is why you have to communicate why someone must vote for you. And harm reduction is good for high propensity voters. They're locked in, they're paying attention, they're highly partisan, and they are going and they're turning out for midterms, they're turning out for generals, they're even turning out for the fucking primaries. Okay? But low and mid propensity voters need to be convinced, especially because they demonstrably have either not voted at all or have voted inconsistently. That is Donald Trump's problem.
And get out and vote. You know, George, I was talking to one Republican over the weekend, and they said, show me where you're campaigning in the final days, and I'll show you where you're concerned about. There is nowhere where Donald Trump is spending more time than North Carolina.
Surprised at that.
Yeah, it's the only battleground state where he is on defense. He won that state in 2020. Of course, you have a Republican gubernatorial candidate there that has been shrouded in controversy. Most of the counties that Donald Trump won in that state are rural counties that have been impacted by Hurricane Helene. I talked to Donald Trump a few days ago. He felt pretty confident about his chances there, but again, 3 stops over the weekend, another stop there today,
and
George.
Of course, we did see that New York Times poll. At least that one had Kamala Harris ahead there. Rachel, thanks very much. Rebecca?
Thank you too, John.
In America, we rise. We rise early. We rise late. We rise to every challenge because freedom demands more than just words. Freedom is the sound of steel striking steel, the hum of factory floors, the buzz of small-town diners opening at dawn. It's knowing that what you build belongs to you. But somewhere along the way, the balance shifted. Politicians started looking out for themselves and billionaires, while working Americans were left to bear the weight. This, though, this is where we draw the line. Because freedom isn't just for those at the top. It belongs to all of us. We believe in an America where dreams are built on hard work, where you have the opportunity not to just get by, but to get ahead. This is our chance to reclaim the dream, to restore the promise of freedom, not just for some, but for all. Because in America,
So this, this all goes back to the top-down problem, the campaign's lack of hardline positions on certain policies. Imagine an ad like this, but instead specifically cut on how immigrants are an essential part of this country, that America is great and is the leading nation on the planet because we have opened our doors to the tired, the hungry, the poor that yearn for freedom, and that this is precisely why Kamala Harris is going, and it's a snapshot of like fucking United Fruit Workers, you know what I mean, picking avocado, shit like that, and then showcasing all the immigrant people that come from a variety of different backgrounds that work alongside you. Okay. Oh yeah, here, I'll show you a good ad. Crazy you don't give Trump a chance. Why the fuck would I give Trump a chance when he already had his chance and he fucked it? And also, I was right when I said in 2016 that he would constitute a grave danger to America, which he did. This is an ass ad too. What the fuck? This ad is not good. I just like Bernie, so I'm responding positively to it. Yeah, that was kind of my point. Yeah, well, Bernie fucking lost anyway, so I don't... No, Bernie had better policies. Give me a fucking ad. I love this ad too. No, I'm not saying I love this ad. I'm saying this ad sucks. Bernie had policies. You can communicate. When you have better policies, you can communicate.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition, free college tuition, free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America works 40 hours a week, should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education not jails and incarceration. We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great people of our nation can accomplish.
The reason why I'm showing you this is not to be like, oh, Bert, here's how Bernie can still win or some shit like that. Okay. The reason why I'm showing you this is because if the campaign is communicating like direct policy prescriptions to the harm that Americans are experiencing, okay, then you can cut ads against that and you can pump that shit everywhere. This was a major problem with Kamala Harris and her ad spend. Bernie's immigrant campaign ad.
Yo creo que siempre voy a luchar mientras yo vea a mis hijos felices y que ellos estén bien. Voy a
Here's the Medicare for All ad. We'll do that as well, but here.
seguir luchando por ellos para darles lo mejor. Pues mis hijos son como el motor de mi vida que le da. Mi familia aquí son mis 3 niños aquí en Immokalee, Florida. Immokalee es un pueblo pequeño, pero
You're wrong about healthcare, man. I live in Canada. Universal healthcare just means extra taxes. I pay 2,000 extra taxes per month to support healthcare, and so does every Canadian. Wait, what? You don't know how good you have it, you fucking piece of shit. Fuck you. I can't even say it. I was going to say you deserve what's coming for you anyway, okay? You fucking piece of shit. You ungrateful bastard. You fucking ungrateful piece of shit. Imagine. Oh my God. Oh my God, you don't know how good Tim Duncan was. You don't know how good you have it. You fucking piece of shit. Oh no. Oh, I can't believe this motherfucker had the audacity to say such nonsense. Oh, Jesus Christ. I hope they take your ketchup chips away, you piece of shit. No more ketchup chips for you, motherfucker. Holy shit. Oh my God. I hope your fucking Putin is Putin or whatever the fuck is called is too soggy. I hope the French fries are too soggy every time. It's not right enough. Poutine. Yo, that's hateful rhetoric. Yeah, I'm saying it, dude.
está lleno de gente muy trabajadora y también muy amable. Es un pueblo muy bonito en medio de todo lo que hay, lo que ha habido en el trabajo, abusos en el campo.
What was that about Tim Duncan? Who's that? Man, it's a NBA meme, okay? I'm not going to get into it. Just don't worry about it. I made a joke. I made an NBA joke. People got it. You didn't. It's fine. You don't have to. It's not for you.
Yo cuando vine de México, empecé a trabajar en el campo. Pues los tomates que yo pisco son los que se usan como en ensaladas, ¿cómo se llama? Americanos. había más abusos de los patrones hacia sus trabajadores o de que no les proveían lo necesario como agua o los baños. Los patrones se enojaban de que si ya no querían seguir trabajando, hasta se agarraban a golpes. Solamente en las noches a veces uno se pone como...
I'm just gonna lie and act like Kamala Harris presented this as a campaign ad. Okay? I'm just gonna... Yeah, this is the latest campaign ad from Kamala Harris so that people will be on board with all the fucking libbed up weirdos in the chat will be like, oh, wow, look at that. She's speaking to the humanity of migrants. A Pennsylvania judge has ruled that Elon Musk's daily 1 million giveaway to voters can continue in a victory for the tech billionaire.
A veces hasta llorar porque no le alcanza. También a los niños les afecta porque a veces no alcanzaba para todo lo que era como la comida.
Here, I'm going to move on from this and show you another fucking campaign ad, okay? From even earlier, even before Bernie. Well, he was still around back then, but here it is.
This election isn't going to be about changing parties. It's going to be about living for every other American. That's what gives me hope.
I don't want a nation just for me. I want a nation for everybody.
You can't walk away and not feel hope and not feel that glimmer of light again.
I don't think I was ever this interested in the voting process.
Okay, this is one of the most ass cheeks ones out of all of Obama's fucking ads.
First time I've ever felt compelled to be part of a movement such as this.
This is also devoid of policy.
I'm gonna get them back involved in this process. The grassroots level first, and then let it go. That's gonna make me happy.
We're organizing ourselves. The campaign helps us. They're there to help us, but we're organizing ourselves.
This is AI, bro. How can you fall for it? This is from September 1st, 2008. BarackObama.com. This is from 2012, the re-election, but I want the OG. Like, I want the OG shit.
At this defining moment in our history, the question's not, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? We all know the answer to that. The real question is, will our country be better off 4 years from now? How will we lift our economy and restore America's place in the world? Here's what I'll do as president. To deal with our current emergency, I'll launch a rescue plan for the middle class that begins with a tax cut for 95% of working Americans. If you have a job, pay taxes, and make less than
he's still pushing the tax cut shit.
$200,000 a year, you'll get a tax cut. I'll end the tax breaks for companies that ship our jobs overseas and give them to companies that create jobs here in America. And I'll make low-cost loans available to small businesses. To build our economy for the future, I'll focus on our urgent national priorities: reducing the cost of health care, breaking our dependence on foreign oil, and making sure that every child gets the education they need to compete. How will I pay for these priorities? First, we've got to stop spending $10 billion a month in Iraq while they run up a surplus. I'll end this war responsibly.
Kaya, place. Some of the most solid shit that Barack Obama said was, we must not do nation building in Iraq, but do some nation building here at home. Like that type of shit.
So we can invest here at home.
Bro, shut the fuck
the Wall
up.
Street
Oh
rescue.
my God. The fucking dumbass chatter. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, he hasn't stopped chirping about the Green Party. There has been like probably 10,000 chatters that have messaged this person back and been like, here are some of the many things that Hasan has said about the Green Party over and over again. And this fucking one dumbass cannot stop. I've been watching him in the chat. Literally, look at this. Look at this.
Plan carefully, making sure taxpayers are protected and CEOs don't game the system. I'll let the temporary Bush tax cuts for the wealthiest 2% expire and close the corporate tax loopholes the lobbyists put in. I'll order a top-to-bottom audit of government spending and eliminate programs that don't work. We face real challenges, and they won't be easy to solve. But we can do it if we end the mindless partisanship, the divisiveness, curb special interest power, and restore our sense of common purpose.
Curb special interest power. I mean, this was this was crazy. This is like a absolute banger of a banger.
Now, I understand times are hard. This won't be easy. The storm hasn't quite passed yet.
Did he do all this stuff? Fuck no.
Sometimes the skies look cloudy and it's dark, and you think the rains will never pass.
The "we're not going back" shit was literally the perfect yes we can for Kamala Harris. At a time when 75% of Americans literally were like, we don't want old business. Kamala Harris could have turned around and been like, listen, surely there were a lot of problems and we tried to tackle a lot of those problems in the administration that I'm a part of, but we haven't gone far enough, and I am willing and I'm committed to help Americans across the board. But one thing that a lot of people fail to consider is that I'm the only person who hasn't been president that's running right now. Donald Trump was. Like, Donald Trump was president. He had 4 years. He didn't fix anything. He actually only made things worse. He greatly increased income inequality. The "we're not going back" shit was actually not a bad line. Alongside the Republicans are weird strategy, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that there's a crisis in talent within the Democratic Party and the Republican Party as well, honestly, in terms of like having skilled communicators.
In America works 40 hours a week.
Anyway, I wish that there was like I wish there was more interest in like actually pushing for policy that is directly targeting people's issues. And then beyond that, I wish that campaign, like politicians on the campaign trail were charismatic enough to communicate that they are earnest and that they are genuinely going to do everything in their power to fight to implement these policies, to convince Americans that they will do that. But the unfortunate situation that we're currently experiencing is that not only do we not have enough charisma, we don't even have a willingness to, in my opinion, we don't even have a willingness to personally lie about good policies. Why did Hasanabi become so popular? He just seems like a normal person talking about political stuff. Yes, that is it. I am a normal person talking about political stuff. I think that's part of the reason why I became so popular. For that reason. That's the reason. You got it. Wait, where the fuck is the... Oh, shit. Did I lose the playlist? Thank you, the Macy's, for the playlist. All right, let's see what other
Trump
ads...
always wanted unchecked power.
I have the right to do whatever I want as president.
And with Project 2025, he'll get it. no guardrails. This time, he will eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions, and he'll cut Social Security and Medicare to give more tax cuts to billionaires. Donald Trump is more unhinged and unstable than ever. If we give him total power, he'll put everything at risk.
I'm Kamala Harris.
I haven't covered last week tonight yet. I will.
Vice President Harris delivers her closing argument at the exact same location where Donald Trump spoke on January 6th.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
He wants to keep the American people afraid of each other.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms.
We got to take care of going back.
We are not going back.
When I go to fill a prescription, my medication is astronomically expensive.
Trump said he would cut Social Security and Medicare.
He's never seen the big, long CVS receipt. He's never seen the receipt.
Kamala has ways to fix it.
Her expansion of $35 for insulin is a gigantic.
My favorite is watching old white ladies. Not like they found old white ladies in this situation that like can say her name right. But my favorite is like hearing from old white ladies who are like definitely supporting Kamala Harris, who are just having the hardest time saying her name correctly. It's pretty funny. Like, be like, yeah, I'm voting for Kamala. Camilla. I'm voting for her.
Advantage.
I mean, she gets it. She will strengthen Social Security and Medicare.
So many of you have told me about your plans for the future, but prices are too high. So here's what we're going to do about it.
Joe Rogan just dropped the Elon podcast. Ugh, what is he doing? He's just laying it on so thick, dude. He is so incredibly invested in Trump winning. Holy fuck. Every day, bro. Every day. Do another Trump interview, dude. Fuck it. YOLO. It's crazy how much he did one with JD Vance. He did one with fucking Donald Trump. He wants to be the press secretary. Who's that?
I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy. I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. You may not always agree with me, but I promise I will do everything I can to lift up the middle class and be a president for all Americans. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
There's some good ones in there, like respect. Okay, let's look at
Nothing.
Let's look at what Donald Trump is doing. This is the most polished. This is going to be the most polished Donald Trump ever will be.
Worth doing ever came easy. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Never, ever quit. Never quit. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedoms. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him.
President Trump is back in a New York City court.
When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison.
Raided by the FBI.
When that didn't work, they even tried to kill him.
They just tried.
Dude, it was a registered Republican. What do you mean they tried to kill him? Also, when these guys are like, they tried to bankrupt him when they couldn't fucking put him in or when they tried to bankrupt, or if they couldn't bankrupt him, they tried to put him in fucking federal prison. And it's like, dude, he bankrupted himself 6 times. He also, like, the raid on Mar-a-Lago only happened due to his insane incompetence and lack of interest in playing ball for no reason whatsoever. I still to this day do not know why Donald Trump, deadass, was like, I'm not giving you the classified documents. I'm going to hide them in my bathroom. This motherfucker is illiterate. We don't even know if he can actually read. Why did you want all the classified documents? Just so you can show it to the fucking wettest dentist in fucking Palm Beach? Is that why? You're like, hey, look at this. It makes no sense. Like that, half of the shit that happens to Donald Trump is the easiest to avoid, okay? Like the easiest to avoid problems that he brought about himself. It makes no sense.
To kill President Trump. Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again.
This is Donald Trump's house, brother.
This election, we all get to choose. I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American badass. The 45th and soon to be.
I mean, this shit's devoid of policy too. Obviously, like Republicans are dumb as bricks, but like, make no mistake, this in and of itself is also dumb as fuck. The thing that I always find really funny is that Republicans will constantly be like, you don't want to vote for the party of the wealthy elites, and you don't want to vote for the party just because a celebrity told you to vote for them. And it's like, dude, you also love celebrities. You also do idol worship. Donald Trump was a television personality. What the fuck are you saying? But also, the issue is you can't get any like A-listers to fucking advocate for you. That's why the only people you have in your ads is Hulk Hogan and Dana White. That's it. You do the same thing. If Beyonce was fucking pro-Trump, you'd be parading that shit around all day, every day.
47th President Donald J. Trump.
Starting on day one, we will defeat inflation quickly and we will make America affordable again. I will cut your energy costs in half. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break. We are going to bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. When I'm back in the White House, we will restore world peace, and it will be again peace through strength. I will launch the largest deportation program in American history, and we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come. Together, we will make America great again.
"4 years ago, we took a wrong turn and lost our purpose. We lost the strength that makes Americans who we are. If we dared to speak the truth, it was called hate speech. And our
That's right, brother. They were they wanted to put me in jail because I said Deborah's titties look nice. They said it was fucked up. I don't want to live in an America where I can't do that no more.
values were labeled shameful. That's when everything we care about fell apart. We surrendered our borders, our paychecks, and our courage. Our patriotism.
Those Trump ads go so fucking hard if you're stupid. Yes. Problem is, a lot of people are.
Was called toxic. Men could beat up women and win medals. But there was no prize for the guy who got up every day to do his job. Now we're being asked to settle for the way things are. And we're wondering if America can make a comeback. We can. Because we've done it before. When we get knocked down, we don't stay down. We get up again. We fight. We fight. We fight.
I'm Donald J.
Okay, that part does go kind of hard. Kamala Harris. Oh, I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to watch this. I'm not going to watch this. Okay. Swing state voters erupt for Trump. Also, why is Trey Yingst talking about swing state voters? He's in Tel Aviv. What is happening? Fox News foreign policy correspondent Trey Yingst joining us live from Tel Aviv to talk about the real swing state voters from America's most consequential swing state, Tel Aviv. What the fuck?
Meanwhile, with less than 24 hours to the election.
Oh, that was just the intro.
More than 4 million votes already cast in swing state Georgia. That's more than half the voters in the state. So,
What are they saying this morning? Lawrence Jones is talking to him live at the Eggs Up Grill. It has been sold out since 4 a.m. in that battleground state. Lawrence, let him loose.
I mean, it's like we're at a stadium. This is the overflow room here. USA? Let's talk with some folks. It's amazing. So you already...
Dog, how did you know his name and where he was? That's not healthy, man. Trey Yings, he's what? He's the Fox News guy. What? Of course I know his name and where he's stationed. He's the one. He is the guy.
Voted. What was the main issue for you when you went to vote?
Well, the borders of...
The only reason why they didn't actually ask Trey Yings like what the situation is on the ground in terms of like the way that people in Tel Aviv think about Donald Trump is because it's plus 90 Donald Trump. That's why.
A big issue, and those people don't work, and we're giving them money like crazy. And I've worked all my life. I'm nearly 72 years old. Didn't even start drawing Social Security till I was 70. And, you know, it's just ridiculous what the Democrats wants to do. They're ruining this country.
A lot of people agree with him. I'm going to go to my friend right here. What's your name?
I'm Brittany Sorrells.
So, Brittany, what was the main issue when you went to the polls?
The main issue was just the fear of people voting in a direction that's going to take our economy in the wrong direction. My biggest priority is my family. I have 3 children, and if our economy doesn't change, it's going to be a hard candy Christmas this year. So
it may not even be a Christmas.
That's true.
Yeah, Democrats want to take away Christmas. I forgot. They're doing a war. They're doing a war against Christ. And they're doing a war against Christmas. No Christmas at all this year. The Democrats took it away. They took our gerbs and then they took our Christmas. Turns out Kamala wants to take away Christmas. What do we do? What do we do here, man? What do we do here? What are we doing? We are such an abnormal country. I swear to fucking God, dude. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Half the fucking population is hallucinating just entirely separate realities at this point.
I want y'all to meet my other friend here. Now, you have not voted, but you promised me that you're going to vote.
Oh, yes. I vote every time.
And so when you go tomorrow, are you undecided, by the way?
No, I'm very decided.
And what got you to that decision?
I love American. I love
God damn, look at the crazy eyes on her. Jesus Christ.
Trump, and I love Jesus Christ.
Thank you so much. It's so easy, isn't it? All right, let's go to the other room. All right, now.
God, dude, yes. Give me more. Give me more.
Let's go. We're going to try to go to the other room. All right. We got another room. What's up, everybody? Okay.
Bro's in enemy territory. Yeah, that's why he has his dog with him, dude. He's like, protection.
I want you to meet my friend here. You were telling me that you're passionate. What type of work do you do?
I'm an EKG technician at Advent Healthcare Redmond. It's a great place to work. With the economy that's going on, it's people can't afford to come to the hospital, pay for their bill, pay for their surgeries and everything. So it's tough out there.
So you were telling me earlier, it's not just the grocery store prices, but when people need health care, they can't even afford that.
Yeah, I know. They're having to choose between one or the other.
So the question is, who are you going to vote for now?
Trump.
Wow. All right. As you guys can see, in Rome, Georgia, we got a fired up crowd, and we got more of it after a quick break on Fox and Friends. So Brian, let's go talk with some women, because maybe they can give us
that abrupt cut was really funny. I'm sorry.
Some insight to what's happening right here. I pointed you out earlier because I just knew you had some stuff to tell me. So they're saying this race is real tight here in Georgia. Who would have thought in Georgia it'd be tight here again? And they're saying the key demographic is women.
You said once these guys go to barbershops to talk to black people and diners to talk to white people, and I haven't seen you be wrong yet. Oh, yeah, no, that's the method.
What are women telling you? How do you feel about this election?
Oh, I feel like it's going to go towards Trump because the women are for Trump. You know, we're middle-class women. We're the ones that have to buy the groceries, pay the bills, and we know what's going on.
So the question is, ma'am, and I'm going to ask your friend next to you. So you got the grocery prices, and then you got the abortion issue. And they're targeting a lot of that abortion issue to women right now. What matters more, that issue or the grocery prices?
Well, it's definitely the grocery prices. I have a 32-year-old son that is barely making it buying groceries. He pays his mortgage, and that's it. Abortion is very, oh my goodness, it's heart-wrenching. So but it's just everything. It's just everything. And we need some happiness, you know. We need Trump.
Because you were back here agreeing. So I might as well get your thoughts on it. I heard the marbles. You know, why is it so close in Georgia? It used to be a solid Republican state. Y'all even got a Republican governor, and you got 2 Democrats that are senators. Why is it so close here? What changed?
We had a lot of people come in through the Hollywood tax credits that changed the profile of Metro Atlanta. So
yeah, undesirables that came into my state. Okay, I don't like it. Get these gosh darn libtards out of here, please.
we have a different voter in the Metro than we do out here in what I call real Georgia, God's country.
Real Georgia, God's country. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize she was going to go that hard. Holy fuck. God damn.
We have lived here for a really long time, and we know what our values are, and we have turned out strongly over the last 3 weeks to vote for those values. We don't want to be a border county. Every county in Georgia is a border county when the buses roll in with illegal aliens.
So the big question to the crowd as we get a live look of everybody, does Georgia go back to red or does it remain blue? Red! Okay, this is what the people are saying, guys. I'll send it back to y'all. All right, we're back here in Georgia. It's a fired up crowd today. So everyone always says that the next generation, we're in trouble. I think it's different for these Gen Z voters. So tell me, as Gen Z voters, what is the top?
These motherfuckers are Gen Z? Bro's got a newsboy hat. What are you talking about, Gen Z? Ain't no way. Brother, I'm a 33-year-old man. I would call that person sir, okay? I would call that person sir if I bumped into him. I'd be like, sorry, sir. Bro never gets carded? Yeah, no way.
Issue for y'all.
So for me, for someone who is about to graduate next year, for me, it's the economy and immigration. I have tons of friends who are still unemployed, who have not landed a job a year later after graduation. One of the things I'm concerned about is how much taxes am I going to be paying next year, listed in the Democratic plan. I mean, what am I going to be paying next year?
What about you, sir?
The same thing, economy and immigration. Immigration's a record high right now. Our economy is totally in the garbage. It's just everyone's living paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much you make, and it's just crazy. It's absurd.
Do you worry about buying your first house?
Oh, I'm really afraid that I'll never be able to buy a house if the economy keeps going the way it is.
Something has to change, right? All right, let's talk with some more folks back here. How y'all doing back here? What's your name, man?
Great, Carolyn Stallworth.
So, Carolyn, tell me, what's your number one issue?
Well, I have 3. The economy, immigration, and health. Yeah. I am so glad that President Trump has added that to his key policies. Okay. Absolutely. Being the age that I am, and I was fortunate to be healthy until I was 75. So I know personally what the young folk are going to be going through as they age, and with food, synthetic foods, etc., being a major cause of our illnesses, I am just ecstatic that President. Yes.
Thank you so much. Let's talk to your husband, right? Is this your husband?
Yes.
I assumed that. I got it right, huh?
You got it right.
So tell me, everybody's talking about black males and the record support for Donald Trump. Can you tell me why there is this explosion within our community?
Well, that would be a very difficult question for me to answer because...
What explosion? I feel like when I tune into media and like liberals are talking about how like Trump is killing it with black men, and then Fox News is also saying Trump is killing it with black men, I'm like, where is this happening? There is no explosion. It went from like 2 guys to 4. It just doesn't, it's not real. You know what I mean? It's odd. It's odd that statistically that's an explosion of 100%. Exactly. But when you look at the totality, it's like marginal. It doesn't make any sense.
Because I've been a Republican since 1962. So, but one of, my primary objectives are to get young people to the stage in life where they're willing to work for the things that they like to attain.
That's right.
And the problem we have in today's environment, so much has been given to them based on tax dollars. This is why our economy now is in the garbage can.
And that's why we got so much inflation.
Absolutely. Yes.
We got a massive crowd here. We got the front row Joes here. We're going to talk to them later, but we got a big show coming up on Fox and Friend live from Georgia. We'll see y'all in a bit.
Hell yeah, baby. That's crazy, bro. Stuck with the Republican Party after the Civil Rights Act and the Southern Strategy. I mean, that's a real one, dude. What do you mean?
Here we go! Let's go, Georgia!
That's a real one, brother.
We got a big crowd here today. Are y'all ready?
Put some respect on it. He's OG.
Let's go. It's crazy in here. This is a powerful state because Georgia, it was 12,000 votes that separated Joe Biden from Donald Trump, and they say they're going to turn this state back red. Is that right? So let's get to why. So we were talking earlier. You know exactly how the economy is affecting people day to day because you see it in your job, right?
That is correct.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so I'm in the auto industry. Here I've been 10 years consecutive at one dealership. A majority of our vehicles are trucks. Trucks, with the hindsight of the increase of doubling the gas, has hindered people from buying trucks because of the fuel price of going near $3 a gallon from what it used to be.
My man said, I'm in the auto industry. He sells cars. Brother, you are not in the auto industry, okay? The fuck? It's like working the cash register at the local grocery and being like, well, I'm in the food procurement and processing business. I'm managing the agricultural outputs.
$1.30, $1.40 a gallon while Trump was in office. And now we have the situation where people have to look at the payment, the insurance, and they'll look at the price of gas. And now the price of gas exceeds the monthly payment of what they're paying on their truck.
And that's affecting everything. I know because my dad's a truck driver. Let's bring this barber in right here.
I'm in the fashion industry. I work at Kohl's. Yeah, I work in ag sector. That's right. I manage financial transactions for $1 billion company. Yep.
You're a barber, and you've been watching our barbershop series. Yes. So you run into a lot of folks. When you talk to them, when they're in your seat, what do they say is the number one issue facing the country?
Number one issue.
I thought it's real weird because, like, my barber clientele does not look like the barbershops you've been to. Matter of fact, if they showed up at my barber, I'd be goddamn scared.
Price of energy. And people forget all the things that's happened in the past 4 years. Who would have ever thought that $5 a gallon gas to go 3 hours to find baby formula? That happened in this 4-year period. We cannot have that again. We have to turn that around. And people forget all those little things that happened under Harris and Biden.
Wow. Turning the page. All right, let's talk with these folks. All right, man. Tell me, what's your name?
My name's Lauren.
Lauren, so tell me, what's the number one issue facing this country right now?
I think border security. I have 3 young children, and I want them to grow up in a safe place. And the economy.
Why would someone in Georgia care about the border?
Because they are all coming in and they are being distributed to all the states.
Yeah.
Yeah, a question I ask myself all the time. Because I've been told that they're crazy and they're coming over here.
So they're in our own backyard. We know what happened in Athens, and it makes me very sad.
Yep, and we still that family still hasn't gotten a call from the President of the United States.
No, and no parent ever recovers.
It's unbelievable. Georgia, it's great to be here.
Didn't you already eat? No.
I'll send it back to you guys on the couch as I make my way to my seat.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And
While the new shock results Iowa poll from pollster Ann Seltzer has been blowing up everybody's news feeds, and for good reason, it is just one poll, and we should put it in the context of what's going on more broadly in the polling. As we're getting into the final polling before Election Day, including the big new poll from NBC News today. The top line of that one is that it's a tie, 49 for Harris, 49 for Trump. Even as the NBC poll shows a national deadlock, there's a couple of internal numbers that the pro-Harris side in particular is latching onto. For one, black voters in the NBC poll support Harris by a margin of 87% to 9%. In context, that's a 3-point larger margin with black voters than Biden won in 2020. Even though so much recent conversation about this campaign has centered on Harris supposedly having a slipping standing with black voters, in the NBC poll, she's doing better with black voters than Biden did. The NBC poll also shows a huge gender gap, which we're seeing in every poll, 34 points altogether. Women supporting Harris by 16, men supporting Trump by 18. Perhaps that is not surprising. On issues, Kamala Harris having a 20-point lead over Trump on the issue of abortion in the NBC poll. But there's a lot more here, and this is just part of the polling landscape as we do get our final look before actual vote starts to come in from actual voters on Tuesday. Let's bring in our friend Steve Kornacki, who was made for this and who is standing by at the big board with so much energy and stamina to spare. Steve, we're looking at you at the top of the mountain right now, my friend.
Well, here we go, Rachel. And look, when it comes to the polling right now, I think the safest thing to say is there are some extremely mixed signals that are coming in. You just talked about Iowa, obviously, a state Donald Trump won by nearly 10 points the last two elections. Now, at least in that Des Moines Register poll, having Harris slightly ahead. That comes as this national poll shows Donald Trump, frankly, better positioned nationally than he finished in 2020 or 2016, and frankly, than he polled in either one of those elections, too. Our poll has it tied. Other national polls have it very much in this range of a tied race, maybe Harris by 1 or 2, maybe Trump by 1 or 2. That's a little different, and it leaves open lots of questions about what's going on in the battleground states and perhaps outside of the battleground states. We'll get to that in a minute, but looking inside our NBC poll here, there's the question of enthusiasm, which always gets to the variable of turnout here. These are folks from our poll who rate themselves with the highest level of interest in this election. It is at 77% in our poll. You can see that is down a little bit from 2020. We had historic high turnout in 2020, 160 million voters. This number, too, when you look inside, the lowest levels of high interest are coming from non-white voters, Latino voters and black voters. Two ways to view that. Obviously, you're talking about traditionally core Democratic constituencies. That could take away from Democratic overall margins with those groups. It could also be trouble for Donald Trump, though, because polling has shown previously him expanding support with non-white voters. If he's starting to lose those potential voters to lack of interest, that could be trouble for his campaign. Then you take a look here at the issue.
Yeah, low turnout benefits the Democratic Party, which is kind of crazy to think about now, but low enthusiasm and low turnout at this stage is beneficial for the Democratic Party. What do you mean? I don't get it. All polls show that high propensity voters have swung for Kamala and the Democratic Party. Low and mid propensity voters, on the other hand, are going to Trump by wide margins, which means lack of enthusiasm or a depressed voter turnout will be more beneficial for the Democratic Party. High enthusiasm and higher turnout implies that there are low and mid propensity voters that are interested and are going to go out and vote. And those numbers are aggressively in Donald Trump's favor.
It really, the climate we're seeing here is what we've seen the whole election. Harris's best advantage by far on the issue of abortion, 20 points over Trump on that. Trump here with the advantage on inflation and cost of living. The other one you don't see here, the biggest Trump advantage is the border and immigration. The gender gap, I think you...
For the record, this number, once again, the fact that they think Trump is competent and effective by 2 points is fucking insane. And I think that's a Joe Biden. That is Joe Biden drawing that down for Kamala. But the fact that inflation and cost of living, Trump only has plus 12 advantage is insane. And it is entirely due to Trump's, ironic to say this now, but incompetence. It is so glaringly obvious how fucking exceptionally bad Trump's campaign has been that, like, he only has a plus 12 on inflation and cost of living. That's crazy.
The biggest Trump advantage is the border and immigration. The gender gap, I think you talked about this one, but I mean, just to put this in context, Trump leading by 18 points with men, Harris leading by 16 with women. If that's what you get, something like that, that's a gender gap of 34 points. The previous high in history was 24 points. So this would absolutely shatter any historical record when it comes to the gender gap. Then there's this interesting issue of you've got an incumbent administration that Harris is a part of. Joe Biden's final approval rating in our poll is going to clock in at 41%. And obviously that low approval rating is one of the reasons there were Democrats who were anxious to get Biden out of this race earlier this year. Harris, part of that administration. How much is that weighting her down here? And then Trump himself, the approval rating for a former president seeking to become a future president. In our final poll here, when we ask people retrospectively, thinking back, do you now approve or disapprove of the job Donald Trump did as president? He's up to 48%.
This is not good for the Democrats.
Higher than Biden, and this is higher than any reading we ever got in an NBC poll when Donald Trump was president. So after leaving office, it has ticked up a little bit for him. Will that be enough to put him over the top? We talk all about the difference between early election day voting, the partisan disparities we're finding. Others are finding this too. Democrats, you can expect when early vote gets reported out, especially the mail-in vote on Tuesday night, should be some Democratic advantages. The election day vote becomes a question of how much of a Republican advantage when the people who vote on election day, when their votes start to get tabulated. Now we get to away from the national poll to the battlegrounds. This is our running average. We've been keeping this the entire summer and fall of the quality polls in all of the battleground states. And a couple things jump out here. Well, obviously, they're all close. You don't see a margin here of greater than 1.9 points. You do see a bit of a north-south divide. We've seen this lately in the polling. Trump's leads here, very small, but Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, basically Sun Belt states. Harris's best performances in here, Wisconsin, 1.4, 1.8 in Michigan. These are the northern tier states. 0.3 of a point in Pennsylvania. So a bit of a north-south divide. And if that holds, if that cements, that is ultimately good news for Harris, because Michigan plus Pennsylvania plus Wisconsin, if there are no surprises outside of the battleground, would for Harris equal 270 electoral votes. If the action really is limited to the battleground, Donald Trump has to win one of those three northern tier battleground states where our averages continue to show Harris with slight leads in those states. But then that gets to the question, if there are no surprises outside of the core 7 battleground states that we have talked about.
Yeah, New Hampshire, right?
Over and over about. And that is what the Des Moines Register poll really gets to. It's the question of what is happening in Iowa itself, because obviously you talked to Ann Selzer right there. One of the questions is, does this spill over to other states? Does this reflect something, if this is what's happening in Iowa, that might be happening in other states, maybe states we haven't been talking about, maybe some of the other battleground states? So a couple ways to look at this. One, obviously, I think you were talking about this, but the issue of abortion, exceptionally potent in Iowa because that 6-week ban went into effect this summer. Millions of dollars in spending there, not in the presidential race, but congressional races where abortion has been a driving issue. Is this more of a state-specific effect that's limited more to Iowa, if this is what is happening in Iowa? One thing that keep in mind, I think, we'll go over here, this is going to start lighting up on Tuesday with our results. Iowa on Tuesday, I just want to show you the history here, going back. Remember, this is an Obama-Trump state. It's one of the most dramatic swings from Obama to Trump. So you have voters here who not long ago were comfortable voting Democratic, blue-collar white voters, huge blue-collar white population here that swung very hard to Trump. There are more Obama-Trump counties in Iowa than any other state in the country. I raise that because what state is number 2? That would be Iowa's political cousin right across the Mississippi River, Wisconsin. This has the second most Obama-Trump counties in the country, and demographically, these are extremely similar states. Large white populations, a lot of blue-collar, rural white populations. Even when you get into the Mississippi area, you can go back and find German descent is very common among people. Very common demographic features and politically similar movement here. We have not, for the most part, seen in Wisconsin the kind of polling shift we just saw in that new Iowa poll today. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If it potentially could be a state-specific thing, but if it's not, if it's spilling over, this is a place where you would expect to see it on Tuesday night because of those demographic similarities. And then, as I say, there's that question of, look, so much of the polling attention, the budgets for polling have been directed to the 7 battleground states. Is there actually something going on in Iowa? Was there something going on this whole time that was undetected? And could that be happening elsewhere? The early test you want to pay attention to on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. A lot of the polls are going to close in New Hampshire. And this was a state, again, not in the battleground. Biden won by 7. The Trump folks think this thing is a lot closer than most people are talking about. They sent J.D. Vance there today. And remember, in 2016, Clinton won New Hampshire over.
Big mistake. If you want to lock up a state, sending J.D. Vance there, probably not the best method. I'm just saying.
Over Trump. Of all the Clinton won states, none was closer than New Hampshire. The margin was just 3,000 votes between those candidates. So this is an early test, I think, for me on Tuesday night. Have we potentially misunderstood the non-battleground states? If we're seeing some kind of surprise in New Hampshire, I think that'll be obviously a huge development.
Obviously interesting, too, in terms of Trump's decision to spend some last-minute campaign time in Virginia, raising the question as to whether or not they think that's on the map as well. Steve Kornacki, just the beginning of what is going to be a beautiful relationship over these next many hours. Steve, thank you. We'll get back to you later on.
I strongly believe Ohio will be more blue than expected because of how much Ohioans hate JD. That would be insane.
Steve, we just had the Secretary of State from Arizona.
Dartmouth poll shows Harris 60. What? Brother. The JD Vance effect. Don't say it's New Hampshire. What are you talking about? It's New Hampshire? What the fuck are you talking about? It's New Hampshire. So New Hampshire is 21 extra points more libbed up for Kamala Harris? Like, that's insane. No, I don't think this poll is accurate. That's a fucking psychotic poll. That would be, if Kamala Harris picked up like 20 extra points from Joe Biden since 2020, if that was the case, then this would be an electoral landslide across the board. There is like no, Kamala Harris would be swinging Texas. That's insane.
Arizona confirmed their official results in Arizona. They are expecting to 10 to 13 days. They say with larger margins, maybe the media companies will be able to project things earlier than that. That's not their concern. Does that jibe with the way that you are thinking about Arizona? And indeed, how should we set our expectations in terms of what we're going to know on election night?
Yeah, I think Arizona is the state, if we end up, if it's suspenseful and if the Electoral College math is depending on Arizona, and add to that Nevada, one of those 2 states, it's going to be a while. If it's close in those states and the electoral math depends on it, for the reasons you just...
Don't know how to count over there. They literally don't know how to do math, bro. The further out west you get, the less people know math. California fucking included. It's not Alabama. I'm not even kidding. It's worse than Alabama. It's not even close. Nevada, Arizona, California, they just don't know how to do math. They don't know how to count.
Just heard in that interview, and it's fairly similar in Nevada too, just in terms of it's a ton of mail-in ballots that they do not all get counted on election night or the day after, and it becomes a days-long process. So if the count is very close, if there's a possibility of the result changing as those days of subsequent mail-in voting counting take place, those states won't be called. If they're crucial to the math, we'll be waiting on them like last time around. That's the long game scenario, I think. But in the other battleground states, the 5 eastern battleground states, a bit of a different story potentially from 2020. Let's take you through Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. The polls are going to close in Georgia. This will be the first battleground state where we start getting results, and we expect we will get a lot of results. In Georgia, they can pre-process the mail ballots, the absentee ballots. Those can be pre-processed, so they don't, some states they have to wait till the polls close. It's a cumbersome process of verifying signatures. That can all be done ahead of time in Georgia, and there's a ton of early in in-person voting, which is relatively easy to tabulate too. There's also going to be folks who wait till election day to vote. Expect that to come in throughout the night too. But the bottom line is you should have the vast majority of the vote counted in Georgia sometime late that night into the very, very early hours of Wednesday morning. Remember, Georgia's one of those states in 2020 it took so long because they had a flood of mail-in ballots. Mail-in voting is down 75% in Georgia. Just mechanically going to be much easier, probably, to tabulate those results in North Carolina, in Georgia. To go to North Carolina, that's our second battleground poll closing, 7:30 Eastern. Very similar here. Expect of the mail voting that takes place, and again, that's down to the mail-in voting and the absentee to come fast and furious not long after those polls close at 7:30. The same-day vote will then follow that, and you expect, as we showed you earlier if you were watching, we expect the same-day vote in North Carolina and a lot of other places to favor Trump, to favor the Republicans. So put that on your radar right now. In North Carolina, likely what we expect is the Democrats will get their best numbers with the big early returns, and then the question becomes, can Trump erase that if the Democrats are ahead with the same-day voting? So again, 7 o'clock hour, you're getting those two. I'll skip Pennsylvania for...
No, Steve Kornacki is not on cocaine. He is purely running on the love that he has for looking at polls, dude. This is his moment. Every 2 years, they take him out of a fucking vat and unleash him upon the unsuspecting masses, and he wins our hearts every single time.
For 1 second and just quickly take you through the other two Midwest states. Michigan is the state that's had massive changes to its procedures, a total overhaul. This is a state that took a long time because of the clog of mail-in voting in 2020. Well, now they can, this is brand new for Michigan, this idea of pre-processing mail-in votes. Again, all that administrative work to get the ballot ready to be counted, they're already doing that in most places in Michigan. That's a big change from 2020. So is the fact that Michigan now, unlike 2020, they have early in-person voting, and tons of people there, we were seeing from the stats, are taking advantage of it. So that combination of pre-processing, of reduced mail-in voting, and of that rise of early in-person voting, we could have, again, a much clearer picture of Michigan on election night than we've had before. Again, most of Michigan's going to close at 8 p.m. There's 4 counties on the fringes of the UP that stay open till 9 Eastern, but we will have results, no call, but we will have results in that 8 o'clock hour, a lot of them. Wisconsin, this could be very dramatic in the early hours of Wednesday, the wee hours of Wednesday. This is how it's played out a couple elections now recently. Just to explain it again, in Wisconsin, they've got something that resembles early in-person voting, but it's not technically called that. We don't have to get into that, but basically, folks who are voting early in person or who are voting absentee, there are some cities in Wisconsin where they take those votes and they count them at the end of the night in one location, and then all of those votes get released. And where that happens most dramatically, we will be talking about this as these results come in Tuesday, is the city of Milwaukee. All of the votes cast before Election Day are counted after everything else is counted. This usually happens like 2, 3 in the morning, maybe a little earlier if they're quicker, and then it all gets reported out. Huge Democratic city, biggest city in Wisconsin. We have seen in recent elections Republicans leading late.
Yeah, they're going to go to sleep again, and then they're going to wake up to fucking the Milwaukee vote dump, and they're going to lose their fucking minds, dude. That's where all the black people live in the state of Wisconsin. That's where all the blacks live. Milwaukee! We know they've lied. They did it again.
And having that absentee early vote released from Milwaukee, putting the Democrats ahead. That happened with Joe Biden. It was the moment in 2020 when I realized Biden had shifted to the advantageous position over Trump. It was when Trump had about a 20,000 vote lead in Wisconsin, about 4 in the morning. That Milwaukee batch came in. Biden went ahead. Realized then Biden was probably going to win Milwaukee. Pay attention for that. If it's close everywhere else in Wisconsin, we are going to be waiting on that, and that's going to be a very significant moment in this election. And I'll just land here. I left Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania is the biggest wild card when it comes to the timing of this. Remember, in 2020, it was Pennsylvania that ultimately resulted in the election being called about 11:30 in the morning Saturday. What was that because of? Pennsylvania, for the first time, COVID emergency 2020, did vote by mail, and they were flooded with vote by mail, in part because Pennsylvania does not have that early in-person voting. So you're either voting by mail or you're voting on election day. There's a little bit of a shift in that this year, but again, that's the broad contour of it. The key, though, again, Pennsylvania did not change its laws. Part of the problem in 2020, all those mail-in votes, they had to wait till the election day to start going through them administratively. It just took forever. Didn't change the law, but again, with mail-in voting coming way down this year, that's just going to be a lot less to process for these counties. They've got more experience. They've had a few elections since 2020 doing it, and also there are procedures in place in some of these big counties now to continue counting round.
We're such a stupid country, bro. Like, the fact that we don't have some kind of federal guideline or standard on this process is so dumb. It's like what the fuck are we doing, man? Like, why does there have to be 50 different ways of doing this shit? It's so annoying. It's so fucking stupid, and it's deliberate. Like, there's a reason for why it's this stupid. Each state wants to enforce their own level of like restriction and control over the process. It's so brain broken. What a joke country we are.
Down the clock, not close down shop for the night. We saw that happen a bit in 2022. So the potential exists in Pennsylvania to be significantly faster than 2020. But as I say, it's a huge wild card because, again, with no changes in these laws, actually, you're just kind of depending on the mechanics being smoother and maybe the folks running these to have a little bit more experience, a little bit know-how. So we will see on Pennsylvania. Obviously, if we're waiting on that, that is going to be a huge piece of the electoral.
Literally the most important state in this election. Like, the entire race hinges on Pennsylvania. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, he wins. If Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania, she wins. That's it. What a fucking whack-ass system.
Puzzle.
One slightly impolitic follow-up for you on this, Steve. When you talk about the mechanics and the different procedures that have been put in place, particularly ones that have changed since 2020, are there any of these real crucial jurisdictions that have really important races that we're going to be watching really carefully where you feel like they made some real inexplicable decisions in terms of new procedures or ways they're going to handle the vote that you're just watching for as a potential bottleneck? Are there places where the technocratic way they're approaching the count is something that's keeping you up at night?
Yeah, there's a couple things that were giving some concern to some election officials that are being held up by courts right now that I think could have been wild cards in this. There's a procedure in North Carolina, basically, about the early in-person voting that might have that delay. I mean, I'm talking like 15, 30 minutes there. I should say there is a change that I think is good in Pennsylvania. I say there are no big changes, but there's one in terms of just public knowing what's going on in Pennsylvania. At midnight on election night, even if there's all these uncounted mail-in votes, they have to now tell you, these counties do, how many total mail-in votes they have. So we will know at midnight, if this is all goes to plan, we will know what the universe is beyond that of mail-in votes to be counted. That was a bit of a mystery as that whole process played out in 2020. So from a transparency standpoint, if that is what we end up seeing, we'll have a little bit of clarity even if we don't have the votes in Pennsylvania.
Fascinating.
Georgia Fulton County installs panic button in each precinct.
Vote counting center like this one, Wolf.
All right, Sarah Murray in Georgia for us. We'll be in close touch with you. Clearly, thank you very, very much. Thanks. And to our viewers, thanks very much for watching. I'm Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room. I'll be back tomorrow for special Election Day coverage starting at noon Eastern with my colleague, Aaron Burnett. Until then, once again, thanks very much. Aaron Burnett Out Front starts right now.
Out front next, down to the wire. We are in the final hour.
Do you still hold the reactionary position that electronic ballots are bad? No. You have misunderstood me, I think either deliberately or maybe as a mistake. I maintain the position that paper ballots are and will be the safest way to vote regardless. Okay? That's it. Electronic ballots with a paper trail, paper signature, is still the safest way. It is not a reactionary position. It is the correct position. Anyway.
That's very helpful, Steve. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
This is normally where I'd be doing what to watch. But ahead of Election Day, what we're all watching is how women
No paper trail is idiotic. Okay.
will affect this election and what this big gender gap we've been talking about.
I mean, most people disagree with you on this issue. Like I didn't come up with this conclusion on my own. Like this is what professionals say is the safest possible method. I've never once heard a cybersecurity expert openly say that electronic voting on its own is good.
Actually means, especially in the crucial and very tied battleground state of Pennsylvania. Vice President Harris is counting on suburban women to put her over the top there, and she's got some unexpected help from some longtime Republicans. Weijia Jiang reports.
She's a self-proclaimed lifelong conservative.
Friends don't let friends vote Democrat. Yeah, boy, you have come a long way.
But the group Stephanie Sharp co-founded, Women for Us,
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, is the message, yeah.
is urging fellow Republican women to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, turned off by former President Trump's rhetoric toward women.
I want to protect the women of our country, whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
And his role in reversing Roe v. Wade.
We'll send Donald Trump packing and have compromise on issues that are important to all of us.
In Pennsylvania, they are targeting voters in the Philadelphia suburbs that helped President Biden win the state 4 years ago.
I heard you talking about a clandestine sisterhood. What does that mean?
There are, again, hundreds of thousands of Republican women out there who are ready to vote outside their party, but they don't want to talk about it.
Across the battleground states, Post-it notes like these popping up in women's bathroom stalls are aimed at the so-called silent Harris supporter.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
So are campaign ads like this one, narrated by Julia Roberts.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth.
These Trump supporters are skeptical of polling that shows Harris has a big lead among women.
God, I have a big group of families, and I don't know one woman who isn't going to go in there and proudly vote for Donald J. Trump.
For them, it's about policy, not personality.
We're not going home with him. We're not sitting and eating at the dining room table with him every night. But actions speak louder than words, and his actions are.
They're like, yeah, he's gross. Yeah, he's gross and gives off rapey vibes, but, you know, I'm still voting for him.
More aligned with my faith, with my family, and the values that we hold dear.
A senior Trump campaign official tells us that even if Harris performs better with women, they believe that Trump's popularity with men will be more impactful. One strategy, they are flooding rural areas looking for men who usually don't vote. As for Harris, she's going to be knocking on doors herself today in Scranton. Vlad?
Fascinating report. Weijia, thank you very much.
Let's vote. Let's get out the 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 vote.
Democrat machine in PA has gone kaput, says Waters.
Let's get out the vote. Let's win.
Was amazing. Kamala closing her campaign with a heaping, serving a cringe as the Veep and Donald Trump make their final push.
Once again, you are Greg Buttfeld. You can't say that. Like, you are physically incapable of not being cringe. This makes no dang sense.
To win over undecided voters in swing states, Jesse. Right now, this race is tighter than the hairpiece that's glued to Jesse's scalp. Trump is closing like a madman with 4 rallies across 3 swing states, while Harris is sticking to one place, the Commonwealth of PA.
Yeah, I wonder why.
We stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America's promise, and we will take...
That's not good for Trump, dumbass. That's bad. Yeah, he's hemorrhaging support everywhere and trying to make up for it. Like, why the fuck's he going to North Carolina one day out from the election? Is North Carolina supposed to be a state where he's even remotely scared of losing? How can you fucking present that as, like, a good thing? Like, looking at this map and being like, how fantastic, Donald Trump is really killing it, is like it's not the correct interpretation of this map. This means shit is fucked up, okay? If you're going to North Carolina 2 days out from the vote or a day out from the election, that means you're scared. That means you're scared of fucking losing North Carolina. Shouts out to the Black Adolf Hitler, Mark Robinson, by the way. Don't think, I've said this already, I don't think that it'll have like consequences on the rest of the ballot because people just don't give a shit about their governors or people give more of a shit about their governors. They have a more personal bond with their governors. This map makes me think that Harris is all in on the 270 path only. I think it's smart for Kamala Harris to try to pump Pennsylvania as much as she possibly can because she's cooked without it. So it does make sense that she's doing that. If anything, Trump should also be battling in Pennsylvania.
We stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America's promise.
Hillary ignored visiting states. It did not pan out well. I think Trump has a feel for this. No, I know Trump has a feel for this. My point is he's going to North Carolina because he feels North Carolina is no longer secure. That's the point. That's why I'm saying he does have a feel for it. That's why he's going to North Carolina. And that, the thing that he's feeling is danger.
And we will take back the nation that we all love so much.
It's about the win, and it is about more. It is about more. It is about just strengthening our country and reminding each other we are all in this together. We rise and fall together.
I've been waiting 4 years for this. We're just one day away from what will be the most important political event in the history of our country.
It is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next president of the United States of America.
But that's just a warm-up to Kamala's star-studded finale. And
I was thinking about this, like, one other message that Kamala Harris could have utilized to, like, clamp on the white suburban voters that were, like, formerly Republican is you don't ever have to see Trump again. Like, vote for me one time and you never have to see another Trump rally. It's actually an incredibly convincing strategy, in my opinion. That's it. Even if you don't want to do it, fucking vote one time and then you never see Trump again. Think about that.
Philly, featuring Joker 2-star Lady Gaga, Latin sensation Rick Martin, and talk show queen Oprah. Never heard of her. But Van Jones.
Dude, you are so lame, dude. You would love to have these celebrities on board. Like, I don't give a fuck about celebrities, okay? I do not give a fuck about whichever celebrity is, like, in the tank for Kamala Harris versus whoever the fuck. But make no mistake, Republicans literally hype up Ted Nugent and fucking Kid Diddler Rock because those are the only people that are stupid enough to be like, I love Donald Trump. Like, you are, it's a waste. Okay, LeBron is different. He's the GOAT. Obviously, he's the fucking GOAT. And, you know, what he says goes. Okay, calm down. That's why I wrote in LeBron James.
Jones is worried the Celeb Bonanza finale could backfire.
I don't think people understand. Working people sometimes have to choose. Am I going to go to the big, cool concert this week and pay for babysitting for that? Or am I going to try to figure out a way to get to the polls? I don't like these big star-studded events. In fact, probably helped us lose last time. I don't want people going to concerts. I want people knocking on doors. I want people out there fighting for this thing. I'm just nervous.
All right, Dana, I have to come to you first because you seem to understand the core.
By the way, this is how the Fox News funnel, CNN, like centrist, center-right funnel works. That's why it was always funny when Anderson Cooper was like, what do you mean? Like, Fox News watchers don't watch us. When he was talking to Charlemagne to God. This is fantastic. Regardless of who wins tomorrow, Van Jones will cry on national TV. An unfortunate, sickening reality we all have to face. He makes me sick.
Send dreamers back for no reason. This is vindication for a lot of people.
Jeff Bezos saw this and was like, I'm giving you $100 million.
Have really suffered. You know, I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know. And you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their and it's easier for
former Maoist third world as Van Jones. Remember when he also cried when Joe Biden dropped out of the race? So a privileged ass man who wasted his votes because it ultimately doesn't affect him. Cool. Wait, what? Who you talking to?
Oils and the engine of this whole system. And I don't understand. As we add more experts and analysis, the election doesn't become more transparent. It becomes more complicated. It's like we turned the election into a phone plan or a cable provider where there's like, I don't even know what I'm listening to.
Britt Hume said something this morning in Newsroom that I thought was true. You know, sometimes you get frustrated with your phone and you just want to go back to a paper calendar.
Yes.
Because that's when you knew, like, everything was there. He said back earlier when he was reporting in his beginning of his career, you would as a reporter, go and actually talk to people and get the feel for it. And now everything is so overpolled and social media is distorting things and you just don't necessarily have a good feel. So no one really knows exactly what's going to happen. I do want to add one thing, though. It's smart for her to stay in Pennsylvania because if she doesn't win Pennsylvania, she's not going to win the presidency. And Van Jones, who we just showed from CNN, he also said during that same hit that he said, nothing is making me happy about Pennsylvania. He said, I'm nervous all the time, but he said, Philadelphia is where they need big numbers, but it's been trending down. And it's not in terms of people, of just Republicans, it's just people are not going out to vote.
We'll see. We'll see. Low turnout, not necessarily the worst for the Democrats.
So we started this with her chanting, let's get out the vote, let's get out the vote. I don't know if the chanting is going to do it. I don't know if Cardi B is going to do it or Lady Gaga or Oprah even could do it. Because if people don't feel motivated to go out and vote in Pennsylvania, that's going to be really tough for her.
If only she had put Shapiro on the ticket, but she had to keep the Jew off the ticket, Jessica.
My favorite game.
Yes. Isn't it an interesting microcosm of America? Lady Gaga endorsing Kamala.
There's nothing I hate more than these fucking monstrous pieces of shit who have regularly and routinely platformed anti-Semites, who got countless hours of anti-Semitic messaging that, like, rich Jews are doing great replacement. George Soros is bringing an unrestricted amount of black and brown people who are barbaric to destroy Western civilization. Like, this is like normal Fox News commentary. And then those guys turn around and they're like, yeah, it's because they are Jew haters. That's why they didn't want Josh Shapiro on the ticket. Like, that's, it's one of the, it's a thing that I hate it so much. I hate how anti-Semites get away with so much anti-Semitic shit and then can turn around and be like, yeah, you know who's actually anti-Semitic? It's the fucking liberals, the Democrats. Like, obviously, Kamala Harris is super pro-Israel. All right. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just like incredibly disingenuous, especially as someone who is routinely fucking smeared in this direction. I hate it. I hate that these guys who very openly platform anti-Semitic pieces of shit can just turn around and be like, oh yeah, you know who's anti-Semitic? It's the fucking liberals, dude. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I guess the liberals are fucking anti-Semitic because they didn't want Josh Shapiro to be on the ticket. That was the real reason.
But Lady Gaga's dad endorsing Trump. So who has a
Is the Josh Shapiro bit true? No, dude. What the fuck? Dude, Kamala Harris is married to a Jewish man. What are you talking about? Yeah, she was like, I'm secretly super anti-Semitic. It makes no sense. For many people in the media, their metric of like who's actually anti-Semitic, I just didn't know why they keep repeating it. It's because they're fucking disingenuous monsters, dude. What do you mean? They lie. It's Fox News. That's it. They lie all the time. They're so mad that their VP Oppo research went from he conspired to hide a 50 stab murder to he's a hot fuck boy who fucked. I know. Like, that's where a lot of the resentment actually stems from, is that Josh Shapiro had a lot of weaknesses that the Republicans could have exploited. And there was a shit ton of Oppo for him. And obviously when they were like, oh my God, he has like crazy controversies that'll bring the ticket down, we can't have him on. They basically turned around and they're like, oh, well, we fucked up.
Closer grip on reality of everyday Americans. The one who feels the effects of a bad economy or crime or immigration, the restaurant owner in a crime-plagued city, or the pop star, his daughter. Shouldn't she listen to her dad instead of her friends?
I think she's listening to herself. She was born this way, and she has always lived this way. And I don't think we need to pit families against each other. He has had success, and she has obviously had wild success and is an incredible talent. And there's no reason to minimize her for this. There is reason to consider if there will be someone who sees this as the final night is just about stars and it's not about Kamala Harris making her pitch. She will, I'm sure, give her same stump speech that she has been giving, which has been wildly effective. Now in every survey, the late breakers are going for Kamala by double-digit margins. And Trump used to be leading in that category of people who were deciding closer to the end from 4 to 6 weeks out. But the last 2 weeks, it's been about her. But, Van Jones says, I want people knocking on doors. They're having to send home canvassers because they have so many. On Saturday, this was incredible. The Harris campaign was knocking on 2,000 doors a minute across Pennsylvania.
2,000 a minute, you say?
A minute.
A minute. My goodness.
Yeah, and you just don't hear those kinds of stories from the Trump campaign. Now, that's not to say that they don't exist. They're not lies. My mom is right now in Scranton knocking on doors.
Really?
Oh. What? You got something against my mom now?
What?
Oh, you said it.
Of course not. No, we all said wow.
Wow. Oh, okay. Anyway, the closing.
Judge Janine is like, we have to assassinate Jessica Tarlov and her mom. I do want to reiterate a position that I've maintained, which is that a lot of liberals, I think, are betting on a massive fucking Kamala Harris wipeout, including but not limited to friends of mine, people who I respect. And I don't necessarily see it. I don't necessarily see that. No, not Austin. Austin is definitely way more conservative on this stuff than a lot of other people. I don't see a blowout. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see like a massive fucking blowout. I see a relatively close race that Kamala Harris is marginally favored on. Anyway.
Message differential is so stark, though, and you are seeing the effect of this on people who are making these late decisions and just the conversations about how it's ending. So Donald Trump has had to be in North Carolina, which I'm sure he's not thrilled about. So that's the only battleground state that he actually won. He had to go back there. And this rally that he gave yesterday morning, the first one, in the morning in Pennsylvania, where he did everything from saying, he shouldn't have left in 2020 to that weird comment about, shooting the media, that they'd have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much. So his spokesperson had to come out and clarify that. Now, if you want to say everything about Trump taken out of context, it doesn't matter. He only has a finite amount of time left to tell the American public that their lives will be better under another Trump administration than under a Kamala Harris administration. And she's the one that's actually making those connections. She's the one that's convincing people that she'd be as good on the economy. She's completely erased his lead there.
It is. We will get into that in the B block. She seems to be actually not talking about any policy at all, Judge.
Yeah, so I'm curious, when people go knock on doors, what do they say Kamala's policy is? Other than, she's this great person who wanted to decriminalize the crossing.
What is Donald Trump's policy? Concentration camps for migrants and full tariffs. What other policy has Donald Trump ever communicated? He says, drill, baby, drill. That's it. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Don't forget the wall. He doesn't even talk about the wall anymore. It's because the Democrats literally are the ones that are doing the wall now. Donald Trump might as well be the anti-wall guy at this point. I mean, technically, he is the anti-wall guy. Democrats were like, we want to build the wall. And Trump was like, don't do it. Don't pass that legislation. So, like, I guess that's flipped over, too. You should read his policy PDF on his website. I know his policy PDFs on his website. It's basically a fucking lightened, it's a lighter version of Project 2025, even though he says he doesn't know what it is. I know, Trump's agenda to fucking save America or whatever. The Democrats are the Great Dividers law. Yeah. Totally.
Of the border by illegals and who wanted to ban fracking and confiscate guns and eliminate private health insurance when they knock on doors. I'm curious as to whether they have answers for that. But look, here's the issue. She's in Pennsylvania 4 times tomorrow, okay? She's doing that because she needs to do that. Had she chosen Josh Shapiro, if she ends up losing this race over Pennsylvania, it will be on her totally for not picking a guy because he was Jewish, for not.
I like by the way, this is also partially how you know Josh Shapiro was a bad pick. Given how the campaign ran, Josh Shapiro would have been a better pick than Tim Walz, most likely, because like they didn't actually adopt progressive policies anyway. But I will say this, you could tell that Josh Shapiro wasn't a great candidate because of how much they talk about how awesome he is. It's like the Joe Biden line. Trump loves Joe Biden now. He just wishes he was running against Joe Biden. And these guys want him way too much. And it's actually partially because like Josh Shapiro is pretty conservative. in comparison to Tim Walz especially. I thought it was unacceptable for someone who pushed for and caucused with the Republicans in his own state as a blue governor to do school vouchers, school choice programs. I don't agree with that at all. I think that is anti-teachers union. I think that would have been a devastating decision. And that was like one of the major reasons. Because like the way I see it, everyone's pro-Israel. I don't give a fuck that he's like, I don't give a fuck that he's Jewish. I don't give a fuck that he wrote an article when he was like in college or whatever, or about how like Arabs have a primitive mind that only knows violence or whatever. Dude, basically every fucking governor and every Democratic Party politician thinks that way, if not has a worse perspective on it. Like, I don't think that that plays a role in his analysis of Israel. I'm talking about Josh Shapiro. I'm being radically honest with this assessment. I think that it was some of the other stuff that was more problematic, including but not limited to the case that he pushed aside for his friend, where his friend's son literally fucking killed his girlfriend. His friend's son killed his girlfriend. And what did they fucking do? I mean, they didn't even, they covered it as a suicide case. It's like crazy. It's unacceptable. Anyway.
Not picking a guy because he would outshine her. Now, there are 300,000 Jewish votes in Pennsylvania. 80% of them are Democrats. So the smart thing to do would have been to allow Shapiro to carry the weight on that. But she wasn't smart enough to do that. So now she's got to be in Pennsylvania all day tomorrow. Let's talk about this over-polling. I'm sick and tired of the polls. The one thing I do know is that Democrats are 16 times more likely to pick up a phone and get involved in polling. That's number one. Number two, 70% of America thinks that we're going in the wrong direction. All right. Number three, 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So it's not like everybody's like, yeah, let's keep going with the Biden administration, because she can't think of one thing she would do differently. And in the end, the Kamala camp is worried because they keep telling women, I don't know how good their polling is, it's okay if you don't tell your husband that you're voting for Kamala. And then she says to the bros, hey, bros, it's okay if you don't tell your men friends you're voting for Kamala. She's worried about that shy Kamala vote. So I think she's got a lot more to worry about. And in the end, his message is a positive one. We're going to have a golden era. He's good with the economy. It was better when he was there. And that he has done.
Kamala Harris doesn't have any policies. I wonder what people are saying at door knocking operations. And that's why everyone wants to vote for Donald Trump, because he's going to do all the good things and Kamala's doing all the bad things. Like, what are you saying? Doctrine shy Kamala vote effect on Fox News? Yes. Remember who fucking came up with that, okay? When those articles are written about in the New York Times, remember.
Done it before, and she can't even articulate it.
Jesse, I saved the Jesse for last. Can you respond to Jessica's optimism about Kamala? And also, what do you make of the polls, the shy voter phenomenon, and my new shirt?
I'm not a fan of the shirt.
Okay.
It's a little too urban for me. But it looks good on you, Greg.
Thank you.
I can tell you did chest this morning. Jessica keeps talking about all this door knocking. Well, it's not working because the Democrat machine in Pennsylvania has gone kaput. The early vote is way down for Democrats. Female votes down.
I think they should just only have Jesse Waters talk about Kamala Harris until every single woman that watches Fox News goes out and votes for Kamala Harris, because they just can't stand the vibes that he's putting out. I'm a dude and I feel uneasy. You know what I mean? I can't even begin to imagine what women feel like when they're watching this man.
Urban votes down and the rural vote is way up. So you can knock on as many doors as you want. The Republicans have sliced the early vote lead in half, and that's why they're terrified. You talk about these late breakers or going to Kamala Harris. What survey is that? I haven't seen that survey. The Democrats keep talking about this mysterious survey.
It's in Marist. It's in the Univision poll.
Well, no one's seen anything like that.
I literally just told you where
because
it is.
if it's actually happening.
Oh, dude. No one's seen it, Jessica, as in I am refusing to read. I don't know how to read. What's Maris? What's the New York Times? I'll bite. What is that? Is that a newspaper? Is that a magazine? I'll bite.
It would show up in the early vote. And across the board in every single battleground, the Republicans are either winning the early vote or they've actually just destroyed the Democrats'
cannibalizing your election day vote, potentially.
You think it's cannibalized, but if you look at the data, it's low propensity voters that they're turning out. And Republicans always show up on election day. So what the Democrats, Greg, are deciding to do or relying on, they are now relying on this avalanche of enthusiasm on election day that has never happened before for Democrats. Democrats never produce huge avalanches of voter turnout on election day. They have to have that with Black Americans, Hispanic Americans. If there's that type of enthusiasm, why isn't it showing up in the early vote? It's a great question, because there's no enthusiasm. I have a theory here about Shapiro.
Yes.
Obama's wingman was in charge of the VP processing. You know, Obama loves Shapiro. They went with Walz instead. It's almost like they burned Walz on an L because they wanted to save Shapiro for 4 years.
Interesting theory.
Is it?
Not really. I was just being nice.
That's sweet of you.
Yeah.
It's
Shapiro
interesting.
didn't really want the job.
Interesting. I'm just crushed over Ricky Martin. I'm burning all my Menudo albums. Ricky Martin. All right, up next, Kamala refuses to squeal on Callie's tough on crime appeal.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most...
I know. Hasanabi heads in the fucking writer's room. I know. It's me. I've been writing for John Oliver this entire time. It's time to come clean. Every single moment I've lied to you. Every single moment where I tell you I went to sleep early or whatever, I'm actually lying. I've been writing for him. What is this? What, like, did he just smear Vaseline all over the fucking thing before he went on? Why does he look like that? Why does he sound like that? Why? Why is he, like, what is this fucking filter, dude? It makes no damn sense. Where's his neck? I have so many questions every single time I see this motherfucker on camera. Every single time I see his face. Every single time I see him chirping. I'm like, I can't even address half of the issues with the things that he's saying because I'm just so confused by how we got here. Bro, these people so desperately wanted to be fucking acknowledged for the most basic shit. Like the most basic recognition of their humanity. Bro, why is MSNBC calling you a political extremist? I'm a trainer and I saw your face plastered at the news of the gym. What? I don't think that's happening, but... No, I know the NBC News article came out about the Twitch faces criticism over Israel-Gaza war content on the platform, but that article in and of itself is not saying that I'm a political extremist at all. Like, a lawmaker's accusation that Twitch has been seen in amplification of anti-Semitism since last year's Hamas attack on Israel has put the streaming platform at the center of mounting scrutiny. Richie Torres wrote a letter claiming many of his videos contain anti-Semitic rhetoric. A handful of streams are linked with footnotes on the letter, including brief clips in which Piker is seen issuing support for Palestinian people and criticizing Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Piker told NBC News that many of the videos cited in the letter were taken out of context. He noted that in many of the videos being called out by Torres, Piker was criticizing the Israeli government, not Jewish people. Members of Congress frequently write letters in which they call for probes into different matters, though not all turn into investigations. In recent years, Twitch has become a hub for political punditry. Creators stream debates over political issues regularly, and some politicians, including Senator Bernie Sanders, AOC, they worded that pretty well. That's crazy. Yeah, no, this is not, in my opinion, an article that is like saying what I would assume what people wanted it to say. Like the letter, right? It's not like a hit piece or anything. However, unlike social media platforms in the last year, Twitch has largely averted controversies involving Israel and Gaza. Where critics of the platform, including Tories, have argued that hate towards Jewish people have prevailed in the last year, despite Twitch's community guidelines do not permit a behavior motivated by hatred. When asked for a comment, a Twitch spokesperson referenced a blog post. There's no place for Twitch for racism, hatred, harassment, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. Piker, who's amassed 2.7 million followers, said the attacks on the platform are unjustified. They're just trying to take down Twitch in its entirety for the crime of not punishing me, Piker, who is known online by his username Hasanabi and Hassan Nahan, told NBC News in an interview in response to the Torres letter. The Turkish-American streamer said he's been doxxed and swatted by bad actors on the platform, referencing alleged instances in the past which said made him contemplate leaving Twitch. But Piker said he's actually combated anti-Semitism for his entire public broadcasting career, which dates back to his time on the progressive YouTube show The Young Turks, created and run by his uncle Cenk Uygar. You have to just clip stuff in 15-second increments about complex geopolitical situations to be like, see, he means the exact opposite of what he's saying, Piker said of the clips in the Torres letter. The criticism of Piker came the same month Twitch is accused of disabling signups of the platform for some users in Israel and the Palestinian territories. Platform issued an apology saying that they disabled signups with email verification in Israel and Palestine after Hamas' October 7 attack on Israel in order to prevent uploads of graphic material related to the attack. Signups on the platform were not entirely disabled, according to Twitch, as users could choose to sign up with phone verification. Let's just say a certain community is calling this a puff piece. Yeah, they're just mad that it's not. It is correctly assessing what took place. We deeply regret this unacceptable miss and the confusion it has caused, the platform said. We fixed the issue, meaning all affected users can sign up with email verification. That same week, Twitch issued a 30-day ban to a group of streamers, many of whom are Arab, for hateful conduct during their panel discussion at TwitchCon in San Diego. Streamers Caprice on Poppy, Rogan, Rough Fool Ticket, Denims TV, and VL discussed which popular streamers on the platform could and could not use the Arabic term of endearment Habibi, which translates to my love. Their list placed pro-Israel streamers on the bottom and Arab streamers on the top. Ironically enough, Michael from Pennsylvania is now a pro-Israel streamer. They were ranked from Arab to Love Sabra, an American and Israeli-owned hummus brand. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna take a few days off and I'm going back live and ranking hummus just to prove a point. Hashtag Hummusgate, Caprice on Poppy wrote on X. Raffle Ticket, who is Jewish, called critics of the panel so anti-Semitic that I'm the one who made the list on who can say Habibi, and they try to spin this as Frogan ranking people from Arab to Jew, adding the critics should keep Jews out of their mouths. Denims TV retweeted author Jake Steinberg, who, while referencing Piker, wrote, he was genuinely grateful to have as a competent Denims TV retweeted author Jake Steinberg, who, while referencing Piker, wrote, he was genuinely grateful to have as competent of a Jewish ally as Hasan so prominently online. This is the tweet. So cringe to admit, but I'm genuinely grateful to have as competent of a Jewish ally as Hasan so prominently online. NBC News has reached out to the creators who were temporarily banned for additional comment. While there was no blowback initially at TwitchCon, online criticism grew in October when streamer Ethan Klein, host of the H3 podcast on YouTube, posted a video titled Twitch is a Major Problem, where he said he felt the panel was kinda Arab good, Jew bad. I've been suspecting Twitch has an anti-Semitism problem, Klein, who is Jewish, said in his October 18th video on YouTube, which mentions the TwitchCon panel. The ADL, a nonprofit founded to track anti-Semitism and other injustices, also weighed on October 21st, writing a statement that it spoke with Twitch staff after becoming aware of several concerning incidents. Twitch must learn from the situation and improve how they address anti-Semitism and hate on their platform, which is an ongoing and significant challenge, the ADL wrote in a post on X. The organization, which has faced criticism over what some view as pro-Israel advocacy and bias, said it encourages Twitch to take meaningful actions such as collaborating with the platform's Jewish community, providing staff and streamers and moderators with anti-Semitism training, and updating how they review programming for their live events. What's ironic is that the ADL and a lot of the anti-Semitic people who have been participating in the smear campaign, what they've done is potentially call into question the many Jewish content creators on the platform and their own fucking their own livelihoods. Absolutely zero people give a shit about this. It's ironic that genuinely that people are like, no, Twitch is an anti-Semitism platform when you're on fucking YouTube or when you're on any number of different platforms saying this, like when you're saying this from Kick, for example. Okay. Meanwhile, you're literally trying to purposely destroy the lives and livelihoods of all content creators on Twitch, including but not limited to Jewish content creators themselves, all for the crime of doing what? Criticizing Israel's actions while routinely combating anti-Semitism, including but not limited to the anti-Semitic argument that Israel represents all Jews and all Jews love Israel no matter what. Yeah, I'm not going to stop saying that that is anti-Semitic. Important words from Eva Borgward about the unforgivable bargain the ADL has made with MAGA fascists and Netanyahu's genocidal regime at the expense of American Jews. Eva wrote about how the ADL and Greenblatt cozied up to MAGA in the culmination of a years-long trajectory, and where anyone wanting to fight for true safety, for true Jewish safety should look instead. This was in The Nation. This just came out a couple days ago. In any case, Rogan defended the panel in a commentary about the Habibi list in a post on October 19th, writing the tier list was who has a Habibi pass, which is a meme tier list we did for a variety of creators. The whole basis of my podcast, Arabs, with Capri and Rafi, is that we are all Arabs from different religious backgrounds. I am Muslim, Capri is Christian, and Raf is Jewish. Sabra hummus is objectively the worst hummus to exist and is the unfortunate standard of hummus in the United States. Also in October, Twitch issued a 14-day suspension for Zach Hoyt, Asmund Gold. Hoyt posted a response video walking back the comments. He also posted a video writing in part, of course, no one deserves to have their life destroyed, even if they do things or have views I find regressive. I'll do better. In Piker's opinion, Twitch is the social media platform that has done the best job at weeding out bad actors and keeping its personalities from promoting harmful and hateful material. Ironically enough, some of those content creators who have been kept away from Twitch due to promoting harmful and hateful material are now launching this fucking cynical campaign, but it has not worked thus far. In 2021, Piker was temporarily kicked off Twitch for using a derogatory term for white people. Cracker. He said he's also been warned by the platform when he's crossed the line for showing certain content like the Houthi music video. The Ansar Allah group, a Yemeni rebels commonly known as Houthis, is designated as a terrorist group by the U.S. Department of State. Piker described Twitch's application of his terms of service as rigorous in his opinion. He has a large presence on other platforms, including YouTube, where he has 1.42 million subscribers, and on TikTok, where he has 925. Okay, I have 1 million on TikTok now. It's actually one of the most stringently applied TOS systems on any platform, Piker said. I'm a content creator. I'm very familiar with all these platforms. Twitch has been the best terms of service, right? Because they actually apply their terms of service. In his letter, Torres asked Twitch to stop popularizing those who popularize anti-Semitism and floated possible congressional probe. Congress has been scrutinizing the amplified anti-Semitism that's taken hold in the wake of October 7, he wrote. Just like no person is above the law, no company in America, not even Twitch, is above congressional oversight. Over the weekend, Twitch has appeared to quietly roll out a new label for streams discussing broader political and sensitive issues. That includes discussions about elections, civic integrity, war, military conflict, civil rights, the platform said. Labeling will still not be required for streams containing informational or educational content that aim to share knowledge in neutral, fact-based manner rather than engaging in any kind of advocacy for any issue or candidate. That's it. Imagine going on a congressional hearing. Yeah, I know. It's really funny that, like, Divorcelli's community that has been banned off this fucking platform for doing shit like this, you know, including but not limited to shit like this, which they can cynically act like they give a fuck about anti-Semitism or whatever, and weaponize people who some may have genuine concern and others who definitely do not to take action against an entire platform, think that it would be devastating for me to go in front of Congress. I think it's a really weird thing for Richie Torres specifically to try and issue a takedown notice 5-6 days out from a massively consequential election against a progressive content creator who is the largest progressive voice, not just on Twitch, but in general in North America. Very odd way to operate, I think. Very, very odd way to operate. I've heard that since Richie Torres himself is not exactly the type of person that has a lot of motion, considering that this is like a ridiculous smear-laden thing that he wrote with the congressional header while Congress is in recess, people are apparently barking up other trees, including but not limited to the likes of Tom Cotton. Tanky equals progressive. Okay, brother, you have done too much internet. Okay, 100%. You have done way too much internet. Bus driver, apply the bus driver test. Bro, I love the Trump hat in the photo. What's funny about this is that this photo was taken from another NBC puff piece that I did, like an actual puff piece, a profile. They have apparently been going after the Majority Report advertisers, so they've had no ads recently. Yeah, that's, again, combating anti-Semitism by falsely smearing the Majority Report, which is, you know, hosted by a Jewish man, for the crime of being anti-Israel and being critical of Israel and likening it to being anti-Semitic is ridiculous. Anyway, I never knew your dress was this cluttery. It's not anymore. What is the bus driver test? The bus driver test is if you sometimes find yourself captivated by a certain thing that you read online, in order to figure out if you are, you know, hyper focused and extremely online in that moment, you should imagine yourself describing the story to a bus driver. Representative Torres accuses U.S. airlines of effectively boycotting Israel. I mean, his entire job at this point is to do this. No motion. What's your opinion on vote swaps? I don't know what the fuck a vote swap is. But like, swap your vote for Kamala Harris instead of like Jill Stein or some shit? Is that what it is? You can swap your vote if you live in a swing state with someone in a safe blue state. What? Swing state voters can vote down fascism and protest democratic support for Israeli ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Swap your voters in blue states. Everyone, this is such a dumb initiative. Dude, this is crazy. I mean, good luck. The fuck? Trump rally is live, low energy.
You're in wars. So we lose 300,000 people a year to drugs entering from Mexico. And if they don't stop this poison from flooding into our country, and they can stop it by not accepting it from China, and I'm doing the same thing with China, we're going to tariff the hell out of them.
What's the argument against John's point? In terms of Donald Trump being devastating for the country, I agree. Donald Trump is devastating for the country. It will be worse than Kamala Harris. I do not want Donald Trump to win. This is a position that I've maintained even when it was Joe Biden who was running for president. Yeah, it is correct. There is no issues there. In terms of like pushing the Kamala Harris administration to the left, I don't think that that will happen either. I think that that's like right now is the most responsive that the Kamala Harris campaign is supposed to be. This is the moment where they're supposed to be the absolutely most responsive to voters, and they haven't been at all. What makes you think that once they're comfortable after an electoral victory, where they will be more responsive to voter demands and voter pressure when there is no leverage? If they're not responsive to voter demands when there is leverage, then they're not going to be responsive when there is no leverage. You will never be able to get something from politicians or anyone else, for that matter, from the kindness of their hearts. Your bosses will never give you your earnings from the magnanimous nature of their being. They're never going to be like, oh, I'm voluntarily cutting into my profit margins and giving you more money. You cannot rely on that. You have to apply pressure through collective bargaining. And that's how it works. That's why I'm a massive advocate for labor unions. And the same principle holds for forcing the Democratic Party to make concessions to you. You have to have organizations. Simply voting is, or saying that you're not going to vote is seemingly not working either. That shouldn't stop you from trying to apply pressure. It certainly hasn't stopped me. I will never stop. But, you know, it's important to recognize the reality. Why are they all wearing construction helmets? Because they're in Pittsburgh, baby.
All of these things, you wouldn't have had October 7th in Israel. All those people would be alive today. The hostages, that most of whom are no longer living. Think of it. Russia would not have attacked. Ukraine wouldn't have happened. But Israel wouldn't have happened because Iran was broke. I said you can't buy any oil from Iran. Anybody that buys oil from Iran can't deal in the United States. We don't do business with you. China stopped it. I told that to President Xi. If you buy oil, they were the primary customer. If you buy 1 barrel of oil, 1 barrel from Iran, you're not doing any business with the United States. We'll go cold turkey, which some people like anyway. And you know what? They said, all right, they didn't. Nobody did. I said that to 45.
This is like incredibly low energy, and it's reminding me of the late 2020 campaigns that he was doing.
And then we had that bad election, that horrible, disgusting, worst thing that ever happened to the country. You can't say beautiful, so I'll take beautiful. But she was a beautiful young. In politics, you're not allowed to call a woman beautiful.
Anytime he says in politics you're not allowed to, he's saying that he's going against his advisors. That means that like they had an internal meeting where his advisors gave him sound opinions, and he's openly defying them. He's done this so many times. And it's ironic because like if he were to listen to his advisors a little bit more, he probably would be in a better position overall.
Anymore, it's the end of your career. So please delete the word beautiful. Thank you very much. Well, 60 Minutes deleted the whole damn answer. What? So I'm allowed to do that, aren't I, Susan Walz? But America will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. Say you can't say beautiful, so I'll take beautiful. But she was a.
What is this?
Still speaking?
Yeah.
You guys leaving early? You guys leaving early?
Yeah.
Taking off? Hey, you guys leaving early?
Yeah.
All right. Leaving the rally early?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys leaving early?
Yeah.
You guys leaving early?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys taking off a little bit early?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why'd you decide to leave early?
I've heard it before.
Heard it before? It's kind of boring. Yeah. Trump still.
Republicans have jobs? Yeah, definitely. No, his advisors probably told him to not call women beautiful because it comes across as gross. That's it. It's just sad because all the Trump supporters I know only support him because they feel left behind by the government. These are all the people that the Dems can pick up, but they keep doing business as usual shit. I think that's if one more person sends me this goddamn fucking Trump's makeup thread, I'm gonna lose my mind, dude. I'm going to start advocating to not vote for the first time in my entire fucking political career, okay? Like, what are we doing? That right there, that kind of shit right there is dangerous. It means that, like, the situation is bad and you're just, like, grabbing on to whatever the fuck you can. You're, like, looking for a hope. Whispers of a dream. We won't vote for genocide. Owen Jones in Dearborn, Michigan. Talking to Michiganders. Have you talked about the gay guy who killed Osama? Oh, I forgot to mention this. Yeah. So I don't think he's gay, but Mick Huya, which, you know, has been following me for years. I don't know why. Big threat. Says, "You're not men," when he's talking to Harry Hassan, who posted this thing. He's like, "We're Gen Z voters and we're all proudly voted for Kamala Harris. Real men support Harris." And Mick Huya, Robert J. O'Neill, who, of course, has greatly exaggerated his record and has talked about how he was the one who killed Osama bin Laden. Many people have questioned that. Had this fucking insane thing to say. He said, "You're not men, you're boys. If there was no social media, you would be my concubines." Now, I don't know what to say about this because it's like, pause, excuse me. And then he also doubled down on it and said something even more insane, where he responded with, "Bro is doubling down and still has no idea what he said. No, Jake, I'm telling you exactly what betas like you will be used for: sex and food, mostly food." Now, I don't really understand why he's comfortable saying this kind of stuff, because it's weird. I don't really know what else to say other than this is just weird, man. Yeah, no, he clarified. Like, he tripled down on his position and then he deleted it. Wasn't this a guy who shot bin Laden? No, he's the guy who claimed to have shot bin Laden. Very cool stuff. I mean, what can I say to this tweet? Like, honestly, what the fuck can I say? He's just saying that he's gonna, like, do rape to a bunch of Gen Z supporters of Kamala Harris because they are voting for Kamala Harris. Like, what? It's just one of those things where you can't really respond. And then he's like, "No, I'm not just going to rape you guys. I'm going to eat you as well." Yeah, it's just, most people are shocked for understandable reasons. It's like, it's one of those things where, like, what happened, dude? You don't have, like, a single person around you that was like, "Hey, you shouldn't tweet that." Maybe he has PTSD or something as a veteran. Like, he seems unwell and probably should be left alone to self-improve right now. Take a week off. Charitable chinchilla. Okay. There you go. Finally, it happened. Neek Skit is now banned for a week. Won't be able to talk in the chat and ask stupid fucking questions during the election and the potential subsequent unrest that comes after the election. He will not be able to do that. Maybe don't make excuses for insane behavior like that. Yeah, no, it's so insane. Tell Megaphonics he's next. No, Megaphonics is nowhere near as annoying or as much of a nuisance as Neek Skit, formerly known as Neek Skit, now known as Charitable Chinchilla is. I will defend Megaphonics. This is a good question. Okay, this is obviously wild in a lot of ways, but why is social media the only thing he believes is keeping him from creating a woke boy harem? This is when a lot of people, like, reveal their own personal sociopathic nature. A very common trope is not necessarily social media, but usually when people say, like, "Oh, if it wasn't for the rule of law, you'd be getting raped every day." And it's like, excuse me, what? Like, so you're saying the only thing holding you back is the rule of law? Or when sometimes Christians or any religious person really says, like, "Oh, if it wasn't for religion, I'd be doing mass rapes." It's like, what? Like, why are you a self-admitted hypothetical rapist? Like, what an insane thing. What is this? Is this real? Let me think. Gunther Eagleman, political commentator, America First MAGA. Breaking. Source inside the Kamala Harris campaign says Kamala has gone absolutely batshit crazy. The lack of voter turnout in PA. She snapped. Scott Pressler worked a masterclass in PA. They just found out. Isn't Scott Pressler under investigation by the authorities? What the fuck are these people doing? Are they living? Oh God, why am I even asking this question? They're just so stupid, dude. They're fucking delusional. Harris is now personally knocking on doors in Pennsylvania. Oh shit. She's desperate. I personally think that it's perhaps not great that we are basically held captive by some of the most insane people and their psychopathic hallucinations. I think it's not good. Brave take, I know, but like probably not good that half of the voters, at least, or one of the two major parties is openly hallucinating shit. And like the Democrats' response to that is not to say, that's not true, you're just making that up. And instead is to be like, okay, we'll do like marginally less than what you're advocating for. Like, we see you, we hear you. We're just going to do marginally less than what you were demanding. I don't know how we fix that. Like, I've been thinking a lot about this. And it's like the answer to this isn't to, I don't know. Final 2024 race ratings out now. Oh, I have seen this clip. I mean, I'm not going to. I saw a snapshot of this clip and I immediately knew it was going to be a banger.
Go into it because I don't need another visit from the Secret Service.
When did you have one before?
Oh, about 6 months ago.
Why?
Take a wild guess.
Was it because of something you said about President Trump?
Yeah.
What did you say about him?
Just the truth.
Which is what?
Read my mind. That.
Wait, Mickey Rourke is woke? I thought I would have suspected him of not being woke. I thought he would have been, he looks like he'd be pro-Trump. It's a weird W, yeah. Make six packs great again.
This is a six-pack under the leadership of Kamala Harris. This is a six-pack under the leadership of Donald J. Trump. Let's make America great again.
Ugh, you're such a fucking loser, dude. I was going to say nobody believes you, but also, like, I do think people believe him because people are just as fucking loser-fied as that loser is. What is this? Real drama. Finally. Real drama, real news. He's a hypocritical, lying, blockhead, beta bitch bro. Logan Paul called out Ludwig for claiming he doesn't drink Prime, alleging that he fills his personal bottles with water. Finally, some real motion, dude. Finally, some fucking real motion. Some real-ass motion. Good people on both sides on this one. Yeah, MAGA male getting called out. Yeah. Finally, some right-wing infighting. Okay. October surprise came late. I'm going to reach across the aisle and defend Ludwig here, despite, him operating a right-wing news channel called MAGA Male. Final 2024 raise ratings. Certainly thought it was going to be a lot more straightforward. Back then, my plan is simple because of the mistakes made and questionable practices implemented by many pollsters in 2020. I decided it'd be best to come to my final conclusions about the race, stood by only looking at the cream of the crop pre-election indicators. These included polls from the few firms that didn't flinch at projecting Democratic strength at the end of 2022, predictions from historically accurate local commentators, and takes from friends with impressive records in their home states. Talking about me, dude. Just kidding. Predictions and takes from friends with impressive records in their home states. At the start, this went along about as I expected. Marist put out a set of Rust Belt polls, and they showed roughly what one would expect from prior indicators like the Washington primary. The final set of swing states surveyed from the New York Times told a similar story. Seeing results like these, I was cautiously optimistic that what I had posited at the end of October, that fears of 2016 and 2020 had causing many pollsters to miss real Harris support, could end up actually happening. And then there was the Seltzer poll. Yeah. Okay. At long last, here it is. After everything we saw over the past month, the race is fundamentally in the same position that it was back in September. Just barely lean due to signs of Democratic strength in their easiest path to victory in the Midwest and comparative Republican unsteadiness in their must-win Sunbelt states. The net effect of this total of 308 electoral votes that are in Kamala Harris's column to at least some degree. A surprisingly solid total that also isn't quite as intimidating as it may appear. We can learn a lot here from the mistakes made by pundits in 2016 when it was assumed that Hillary Clinton's supposed competitiveness in must-win Trump states, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, meant that Trump faced an impossible climb. While the idea here was that these states would function like moles in a game of whack-a-mole, we're just getting one of these must-win states down didn't mean that Trump didn't still have problems with the others. What is this? One Republican operative who has worked with ex-president's campaign in the past said it's clear that Trump is decompensating in response to the late Harris surge. He's realizing that he could lose the election, go to prison, and maybe die there, he said. That's insane. I think that's a little too libbed up. I would shy away from that, although I have seen indications that Trump recognizes that he might lose given some of the quotes he's given to other people. Just, stray away from that. A key Trump staffer was fired for being a white nationalist. Luke Meyer was Trump's regional field director for Western Pennsylvania. Online, he was white nationalist Alberto Barbarossa. Wow. I'm so shocked. What's next? Another Moms for Liberty person was busted in a sex crime ring. What's next? Another Republican consultant was busted for having 8 terabytes of child porn in his hard drive. This is the most common story that happens so much that it is now more dog bites man than man bites dog. Okay? At this fucking stage is basically just oh wow, another Republican outed as a white nationalist online. This, for the record, yeah, fork found in the kitchen is right. Okay, listen. This is precisely why I keep repeating that the Republicans have lost the fucking plot. They are so extremely online. This would be akin to Kamala Harris running a fucking campaign about Z-zero pronouns, okay? Which is so hyper online and so from a different era that people don't even talk about it online anymore, okay? This is the way Republicans have been running their campaigns. I don't know how to describe this to you. It would literally be akin to neo-pronouns being a signature achievement of the Kamala Harris campaign. Okay, we were close to that in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden came in and was like, none of this woke shit, Jack. I'm 800 years old. Okay, I'm letting you guys know I kind of understand why people say what are you talking about? Kamala Harris is running a fantastic campaign to a certain degree, because if you're not paying attention to what the fuck's going on and how Democrats should run campaigns, yeah, she has fucked up infinitely less times. Okay, if at all, really. Her fuck ups come in the form of being too conciliatory to some of the most right-wing positions and running along with Liz Cheney or whatever. But it's nothing that is even remotely comparable to the way that the Republican Party has been running their elections. Okay? The Republican Party is running an incredibly hyper online campaign. They are getting they're doing the let me see which way the wind is blowing. They're getting that exclusively from fucking Twitter. Okay? They're getting that from Twitter. They're getting that from the YouTube and slash podcast circuit. It is not how you run a national campaign when you are trying to get adults to vote for you. Okay? Very fucking stupid. Trump truth nuke. Trump says he'll keep men out of women's sports, then adds nobody has ever organically brought that issue up to him ever. It's so funny when he has moments of brief honesty like this. I am reminded of the time when Donald Trump vindicated yet again. Yes, of course I'm vindicated, because in spite of spending every fucking waking moment online, laser focused on whatever the fuck is going on in the sphere of online commentary, I like to pay close attention to how normal people operate. One aspect one way of overcoming being hyper online is also by looking at polling, not necessarily just polling on elections, but like message polls, like things that people care about, okay, and how they respond to certain things. The data is readily available even if you are hyper online. This is why I say over and over again that nobody gives a fuck about trans people enough to go and vote in either direction, okay? It's fucking ridiculous. Trans people themselves do care about obviously protecting trans people, so they hope that the Democratic Party will defend them. But even then, you know, there's plenty of other reasons that most people will go out and vote, including but not limited to trans people. The idea that like the Republicans are motivated by trans hate to go out and fucking vote is so stupid and has been such a demonstrable fucking failure. This doesn't mean that there isn't a single person, please, bro, my girl's mom is literally voting Trump because of trans women in women's sports. This doesn't mean that there is not a single human being out there, chatter. Yeah, Matt Walsh exists, okay? He's voting for trans people, okay? Like, sure. It seems to me like Republicans are sick of hearing about it. They're not exactly broken up about trans healthcare being banned in their states. No, they're just sick of hearing about it because it's not relevant to them. And they've been sick of hearing about it. I'll explain it to you like this. Take any issue, okay? Any issue at all that isn't very prominently displayed in American media. Let's say your issue is intactivism. You think it is morally unconscionable that millions of babies are getting circumcisions without consenting to it. Now, whether you agree with this or not does not change the reality that you are constantly talking about baby dick and you're doing it over and over again. And while some people might go, you know what? I kind of agree with you. Why the fuck are we getting circumcisions? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If you were constantly talking about baby dick like that, people are going to be like, dude, you are way too invested in baby dick. So even people who might agree with you are going to be fucking grossed out by you being a single issue on the matter. It comes across like you are pathologically obsessed, hyperfixated on trans people. Because they are. They are. Republicans are, or at least some of these fucking idiots are legitimately hyperfixated on trans people, so much so that they mistake their own personal pathological obsession and maybe the pathological obsession of people they see on Twitter. They mistake that with genuine enthusiasm. In a country where if they were to look at any fucking poll on the matter, in a country where 64% of the population agrees, including Republicans in this poll, agree that trans people are disproportionately targeted, okay, and discriminated against. That means that there are transphobic people out there who still think, you know, yeah, I'm transphobic. I think trans people are fucking weird. I don't want my children to be trans. They're going to woke my children. They're going to transgender my children. But also, I'm not transphobic, which is an incredibly common position. If you were to ever talk to a transphobic person, they would straight up say that. Okay? Just like the guy from yesterday that Owen Jones was interviewing. Now, this doesn't mean that they are not transphobic. It doesn't mean that like tomorrow they're going to fucking advocate for new Fallout New Vegas mods or start playing Hearts of Iron. Okay? It just simply means that they don't give enough of a fuck to go out and vote for a candidate for this reason. And that's precisely the reason why the Republicans have just occupied so much space in the state legislatures by just like dunking on trans people over and over again with no appetite for said ownage from the actual fucking voters. They're wasting their own damn time and they're wasting everybody else's time. And this has led to failures for them in 2022 when they did this shit. They leaned far too much into like crime panic narratives, trans panic narratives at a time when they should have had a massively consequential red wave. We're talking about a time when like there was negative real wage growth. Like that's insane. They're just hyper fucking online. That's it. They're so incredibly online. And that is why I believe that they're going to lose. That's it. That's why I believe they're slated to lose. Because they are unimaginably online and focusing on all the wrong shit. That's also partially why I thought that their weird narrative was good, was solid, because they are fucking weird. And it has the capacity to shake people out of their stupor when they're met with that. When they're met with fear, oh, you're transphobic, you're bigoted, you're scary, you're a Nazi. They like that because there's still power there. They're like, yeah, you're just afraid of me and you're calling me a Nazi because, like, you're just afraid of my power. When you call them weird, they're like, wait, what the fuck? You're making fun of me. You deflate the power that they have. Anyway, while the idea here was that these states would function like moles in a game of whack-a-mole, where just getting one of these must-win states didn't mean that Trump didn't still have problems with others, their results ended up being correlated with each other. All the states that were said to be putting him in an impossible position ended up falling in his direction early on into election night, putting him right at the doorstep of winning the election, which he ultimately did in 2016. It's best to understand this map somewhat similarly. Together, North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada put Trump a bit of ways from 270, but if Trump is winning one of the two big states here, North Carolina and Georgia, he's very likely winning the other unless the margin is exceedingly close. Both have polled very close to the other throughout the year and voted very similarly in both 2020 and 2022, notwithstanding some subtle but important differences that I'll get to in a bit. They and their combined 32 electoral votes are likely to be a package deal. If Kamala wins them, she's very likely to be the next president. Past that point, Trump's only path to victory would be a clean sweep or near clean sweep of the Midwest, running through Pennsylvania and Michigan. If Trump wins them, on the other hand, he'd be right at the door of 270 electoral votes, assuming a win in lean R Arizona, even without Nevada, only requiring one of the three of the Midwest swing states to seal the deal. In other words, it'd be a lot like what happened in 2016, even if the punditry is completely different this time around. But to be said, to be in the kind of position... What? Damn, bro, you fucking wrote this. You wrote this up real quick, didn't you? Goddamn.
Look at the movement
Final Walz Mamala rally is live.
Short amount of time.
Okay, let's watch this. I do want to see this.
Now imagine what she'll do in 4 years. And I got to tell you, one of the best parts of this is she has brought back the joy to our politics.
Bro, they spent all the fucking $1 billion on camera equipment. It's crazy.
Look, this is a pretty amazing journey for me, too. A kid from Butte, Nebraska, and a kid from Oakland, California, now find themselves with the opportunity tomorrow to become the next president and vice president of the United States. I can't tell you how proud I am to be on this ticket with Kamala. From her very first day, from a prosecutor to a district attorney to the attorney general of the largest state in the nation to a United States senator and to
prosecuting transnational gangs.
She has had one client the entire time, the people of this country. This is a servant leader who stood up for women and children against predators and abusers. She stood up with seniors and workers against fraudsters and big corporate interests. And she stood with families and communities against transnational gangs and traffickers. And she never once hesitated to work across the aisle to improve the lives of Americans. When people came to her,
Trump's last rally in Michigan is going to be at like 10 p.m., by the way, which is crazy.
How can I help? Now, look, we get an opportunity together to build an economy that if you work hard, you don't just get
Joe
by,
Rogan endorsed
you get ahead.
Trump. Yeah, no shit, dude.
And let's be.
Wow, Joe Rogan endorsed Trump. That's crazy. I can't believe Joe Rogan endorsed Trump after having Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk on. And fuck it, why not? I'll include motherfucking John Fetterman on that too, as an endorsement for Donald Trump.
Part of. Look, I grew up in rural Nebraska, population 400, had 24 kids in my class, a bunch of cousins in there. But the thing you learn when you grow up in that small town is you understand what it means to take care of your neighbor. Same thing that happens when you grow up in a big town. You start to understand that your neighbors and it matters, and we're all in this together, working towards the common good. Those are the values that animated Kamala and my service. That's the values that after tomorrow we'll be able to take to the White House for the rest of this country. And you saw on the National Mall what a president looks like and sounds like when she said she wants to be a president for all Americans, those who vote for us and those who don't. She and I both come from the middle class. We've lived this experience. We'll be relying on that experience every single day in the White House. That's why she said from day one she'll be focused on lowering the cost of living for families and put more money back in the pockets of middle-class Americans. An opportunity agenda that makes housing more affordable, makes it easier to start a small business, makes it easier to care for our loved ones, and yeah, make this country more free. When Kamala and I talk about freedom, we mean the people should be free to make their own decisions about health care and who they love, not politicians.
God.
The freedom for our seniors to retire with dignity by strengthening Social Security and Medicare. And yeah, as a teacher and a dad, the freedom to send our kids to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classroom. Look, Wisconsin, I know guns. I'm a veteran. I'm a hunter. Kamala's a gun owner. We know we can uphold the Second Amendment, which we've always done, while also upholding our first responsibility, our children and their safety.
Jay Ghost, thank you for the 10 gifted subs.
Let me speak to the guys in this
Hype
room.
train level 2
I want you to think
achieved.
about the women in your life that you love.
Why?
Their lives are literally at stake in this election. More than 20 states now have abortion bans, and our daughters and those loved ones you're thinking of now have fewer rights than their mothers and grandmothers. When Congress passes a law to restore the right to choose, to make Roe the law of the land, President Harris will sign it into law.
Mephi 2000, caked up bot. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Meow Faudo.
Because Kamala has said it and we all know it. We are not going back. We are not going back, folks. So, Milwaukee, I'm here today on behalf of Kamala Harris and myself to humbly ask you for your votes. Elections tomorrow, and we're not taking anything for granted. Look, I did it for too many years to pass up the chance on this one. We're in the last 2 minutes of this game. This thing's tied, but we got the damn ball. We got the ball. We got the best quarterback in Kamala Harris. And we got the best team with the people right here in this room. There's gonna be a time, folks, as we get that last yard done, as we get this thing over. But here's the thing, I'll tell you what an opportunity in our time to be living in this moment, to be able to influence not just 4 years, but 40 years, to make a difference in people's lives, to improve their lives. And there's going to come a time for all of you. I know if you're young, you're not thinking it, but it will come. You're going to be sitting in that rocking chair on your porch, and you're going to be rocking away. And a little one's going to come
Diesel,
up. They
thank you
just
for the
came from
50
school,
gifted subs.
where
Hype
they're
train
learning
level
the
4
history of the
achieved.
2024 presidential election in the United States. And they're going to wonder, what did you do during that election when you protected the American experiment, when the rule of law held, when the Constitution was the law of the land, when dictators and division and darkness were thrown out, and unity and hope
Ungoliant, thank you for the 5. Streeto, thank you for the 5.
When everything was on the line,
thank you for the 50.
when that little one asked you, What did you do during that election? You're going to be able to answer every damn thing I could. Every damn thing I
I feel like it's Tim Walz is being wasted, I think, on this.
24 hours, Milwaukee.
Baze Lilly, thank you for the 10.
24 hours to President Harris. 24 hours to make a difference.
Eat the Ritz, thank you for the 5.
So I know this state knows a little something about winning. So here's my ask of you. Wisconsin, win this thing for America. Let's go. Let's go.
Dropping. I was born in a small town. Camera quality's dropping a little bit. Why does the FPS fuck up? What the fuck is happening? Chances of a Walz presidential bid in 2028? No. This is the final Walz rally. Kamala's final rally will be in PA in a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me no joy to reveal this information to you. We have this just in. Joseph Robinette Rogan has officially endorsed. Joseph Robinette Rogan has officially endorsed Donald Trump. Shocking absolutely zero people, I think. I suspect this will not come as a surprise. Joe Rogan's demise was fairly transparent. This is kind of what like destroyed Alex Jones as well, in my opinion, and like removed the edge from his commentary. He used to be a more fun person to watch. He's now officially a bought and sold man, a charlatan. Johnny Harris is probably shocked. Oh yeah, remember when Johnny Harris was wrote that like insane article about Joe Rogan? He went mainstream. Dog, he is a fucking mainstream celebrity. Of course he went mainstream. Props to Joe for getting in the MAGA trifecta. President falls in love with Joe Rogan. The guy who shot bin Laden is not beating the weird allegations. I don't think Joe Rogan's community is that shocked by this. They constantly rip on him. My goat is washed. Shocking, Joe. Shocking. It's astonishing how a guy like Joe was once an outsider who was critical of things, and now he just folds to everyone around him in his little Austin crowd. Yeah. What is this?
Oh, those Penn State guys, I wanted them to wrestle the migrants. I told, you know, the UFC, Dana White. Oh, they killed me in this. I told Dana, you ought to set up your League of Champions, unbelievable, best fighters in the world, and a migrant league. At the end, I want the migrant to go against the champion, and I think the migrant might actually win. That's how nasty some of these guys are. But I don't.
What?
I doubt.
What the fuck is he saying? Like, he's fantasizing about beating up random immigrants, but then also saying that like those random immigrants are fucking strong. Like, what? Is bro paying attention to what he's saying? I feel like he's just sauceless. Sauceless. I will say this over and over again. My man, my goat is washed. When you find out your goat is fucking washed, does he not know the UFC is already full of immigrants? Yeah, Trump thinks Dagestani people are from America secretly or something. I don't know. Okay, good. So it's just not me. He's actually fucking cooked over the past 2 weeks. It's unbelievable to see even by his own standards. No, if you remember what happened last time around, if you remember what happened last election cycle, by this point Trump was putting up like LeBron numbers. Okay, he was doing like 4 rallies a day, and if you recall, he was getting real sleepy and real weird at those rallies in the same exact way that he is right now. He is definitely past his limit. He's definitely way past his limit. He's done. He's Celtic Shaq right now. Yeah, he is. I mean, we'll see. I've said what I've said already. I've made my prediction on this. Only time will show what will happen. But yeah, I think he is definitely washed.
By the left.
Oh, Megyn Kelly. He brought Megyn Kelly up. Yeah, blood coming out of her, whatever, Megyn Kelly.
by the left for saying he would be a protector of women. He will be a protector of women, and it's why I'm voting for him. He will close the border. He will keep the boys out of girls' sports and where they don't belong by the left.
Yeah, that's a real resilient message, dude. Like half the country's like, you took away medical access to a procedure that we could have had before you became president. And his answer is like, what about trans people? Think about the trans people playing sports. Do you understand why that's fucking stupid? This ain't England, dog. You can't be fucking running this kind of commentary. His entire pro-woman narrative is so obviously misogynistic that, like, I feel like the only people that will split ticket forecast and no hedging, Kamala 53, Donald Trump 47. We've said a lot about how this is an uncertain toss-up, but our model has always said Harris nominally ahead, and she remains ahead by a whisker. Mama alive? I don't think she is. Oh, she is.
Pittsburgh!
What the fuck's up with the quality, dude?
Are we ready to do this? Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to win? Oh, it is good to be here tonight with all these leaders. I thank you all so very much. I want to thank Representatives Lee, DeLuzio. Let's send them back to the U.S. House of Representatives. Please send Bob Casey back to the United States Senate. And I thank everyone for being here and taking the time out of your busy lives to be here this evening. I love you back. I love you back. I love you back. All right, so Pittsburgh, this is it. Tomorrow is Election Day. Tomorrow is Election Day. And the momentum is on our side. Campaign has tapped into the ambitions, the aspirations, and the dreams of the American people. And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
There's another rally after this in Philadelphia?
And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next president of the United States.
At 11 p.m. Eastern? What a fucking dynamo.
But we still got some work to do. Because look, the race is not over and we must finish strong. So listen, here's the thing about the hard work. We like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work. And make no mistake, we will win. We will win. We will.
Okay, she's beating me in her work ethic, I'll be honest. I gotta pee.
And we will win because when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics driven by fear and division. We are done with that. We're done. We're done. We're exhausted with it. And Pittsburgh, we are not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. And we are not going back because America is ready for a fresh start. And we are ready for a president who knows the true measure of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it is based on who you lift up. And instead of stewing over an enemy's list, I will spend every day working on my to-do list, full of priorities to improve your life, because ours is not a fight against something, it is a fight for something. It is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Proudly. Proudly. So, America, I am asking for your vote. I am asking for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. As president, I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to the challenges you face. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make. And we are not going back. And here's the thing, guys. We are fighting for a democracy. We are fighting for a democracy. And in a democracy, true leadership understands that the leader listens to the experts and listens to people who disagree with them. I will listen to people who disagree with me because I do not believe that people who disagree with me are the enemy. In fact, I will give them a seat at the table. That is what real leaders do. That is what strong leaders do. And I pledge to always put country above party and self, and to be a president for all Americans. So, Pittsburgh, that is my pledge to you. And to you I ask then, who here has a plan to vote? Fantastic. Okay, so help spread the word then. Polls are open here in Pennsylvania tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You know that. Go to iwillvote.com for all the information you need, including where and when to vote and where to drop off your mail ballot, because we need everyone to vote, Pennsylvania. You will make the difference in this election. You will make the difference. And friends, listen, we are all here together because we love our country. We love our country. And when you love something, you fight for it. And I do believe it is one of the highest forms of patriotism. I love you back. Love you back. And one of the highest forms of our love of our country is to then fight for the ideals of our country and to fight to realize the promise of America. So Pittsburgh, listen, we got one day left to get this done. So now we work to get out the vote. Let's reach out in these next 24 hours to family and friends and classmates and neighbors and coworkers. And as we do that, let us really be true to what our campaign has been about from the very start. And on that, I say, please let us be intentional about building community.
Yeah, I saw the Mickey Rourke clip. It's pretty funny.
Building coalitions. Because here's the thing. So much about these last several years has been about trying to make people point their fingers at each other, to have Americans point their fingers at each other, to try and make people feel alone or feel small. But let us do the work as we work toward this win of building up community and coalition and reminding everyone that we have so much more in common than what separates us. Let that be our goal. And let us remind everyone, your vote is your voice, and your voice is your power. So one last time, Pittsburgh, I ask you, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. God bless you.
Decision Desk, which follows me, weirdly enough. I'm not gonna. This song is a banger. God damn, dude. Decision Desk weirdly follows me. I don't know why. Puts Republicans having a 75% chance of winning the Senate according to our latest forecast. Obviously, West Virginia is gone.